Greetings, traveler. You've just landed on the Mikey and Me podcast. But fear not, for this is no mistake. No fault in the stars, no glitch in the matrix. No, I'm afraid this has all been planned. Predetermined by powers known not to us. So pull up a chair and join us as we find our way together, for you are among friends.
Friends. We among friends.
Dear, we are gathered here today, dear we beloved. What is that from? Was that in
Princess Bride, good sir?
Yes.
Yeah, quite important classic. But
Yes.
before you go too far elsewhere,
Yes, before we drift too far into realms unknown and I just get carried away and perhaps forget
people need to know this
most important things. It is 62 and cloudy in Dallas, Texas tonight with a high of 67 and a low of 53. There's no chances of precip out there at the moment, but that could all change. We're looking at a cool Sunday, though. Let me tell you about Sundays.
Yeah,
Sunday
tell us about
is
Sunday,
what's
man.
going to be
That's
interesting.
tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, that is tomorrow. So early in the day, Sunday, it's going to be, we've got like a high sitting around 65 degrees is going to be your high for Sunday, and there's a chance of precip in the morning. But here's the thing that's funny about
Tell
it.
me it's going to stay that way all day, please.
No, I'm sorry, it's not. We're going to go ahead and drop from 65 on down to 27.
What time? Does it say a little time, like what they forecast?
By about 5.
Let's get
I'd
to Vegas,
say-
see what the over-unders on that
Let's
time.
see, at noon, it's supposed to be about, it looks like 45.
So the front
by
is working
6.
its way in at that point.
By 6, it looks like it's going to be like 35.
Goodness.
And then, 8, 9
Keep your
o'clock, you're
babies
looking about
warm.
20 degrees. So, with that information being said, hopefully we get this to you soon enough. You've listened to what we're saying. And
Jeff doesn't know his weather is going to be like.
oh, yeah.
We
No,
wanna
well,
make sure he's
Jeff,
good.
well, we don't even know where Jeff is. We think he's missing in time. He has missing time. It's 58 in Jeff's nape of the neck. Neck of the woods.
Nape of the neck.
Nape of the,
In his nape of the neck as
in
well.
his, yeah. Be seeing you.
Amazing.
This episode's over. I fucked up.
It's
No.
We ain't perfect.
Let's see. Where was I? There was something else I was
Mr.
going to say.
Weatherman.
Oh, with this information being given to you, hopefully in time, remember to go wrap your pipes, your outdoor pipes. If you have just old socks or something, if that's all you got, some duct tape and some old socks, wrap them bad boys up.
Yep.
Leave your faucets dripping open
Duct
the
tape,
cabinets.
trash bags, just
Shit,
anything
something.
to insulate the
God
power
put
of
something.
insulation. Any barrier between that
'Cause-
pipe and the outside air is
Yeah.
all you're trying to do.
Yes.
So if you don't have things, the idea
And
is
please just-
anything you can do, create space and ideally trap any air. It can save a couple degrees, and a lot of times in Texas, that's all it takes. Unless it goes to insane freezing, which
Yeah, and it really would just make a lot of us feel better if we just see something on
Yeah.
there. It could not even work, but when you drive past a house and you notice that their pipes aren't, somebody's going to pull up and they're not, they're going to knock on your door. Your neighbor, hey, you wrapped your pipes today? Huh?
Now, see, Mikey's the guy
Happens all the
who
time.
he's probably going to
Happens
just
all the
start
time.
wrapping pipes on the way home. If
Yeah,
he
I
just do
might.
an inspection, they'd be like, sir, what are
Yeah.
you doing there? I'm being a hero.
Yeah.
And we find out how you got shot whenever they find out you're a home
that
invader.
probably would happen.
Maybe that's what the guy was trying to do from your neighbor. With the,
Oh, gosh, yeah, it could be. He's out there
Maybe
trying
he's
to wrap
just
his
a,
pipes. It's like,
vigilante
well, I noticed. It's like,
hero.
sir, it's 3:30 in the morning. Why are you mucking about on the side
Why
of my
are you
house?
naked?
It was like, why do you have a pentagram on your chest? Speaking of weird stuff like that, I saw Nosferatu.
You did.
The
and
other day.
I'm happy because I definitely want to see it. And you
Yeah.
had a pretty glowing review or response, I
I
would say.
did. I had a very glowing response of it. And
You had a lot of hype going into it. And
I had.
it lived up to that?
It did live up to
That's
it.
the real
it
question.
lived up
That's
to
the
it.
test. It's not
It
like he
lived
just
up. I think-
wandered
well,
in there.
here's the
He's
thing.
been
It's
waiting
not
for
that-
this movie, and it's
So-
great when it does this. That
And
nails
it's
it.
not, yes, and to me, it's not that the original is such a masterpiece and all, because it is a silent movie.
When's the original one come out again?
1922.
Okay, there you go, yeah.
1922.
It's
And
not
so
the talkie.
it's not that it necessarily had to live up to this, because I mean, hell, it's a silent film. They did a better job, but it's that they didn't they did a good job. It wasn't all of a sudden a fucking musical or something.
Yeah,
and it's
you're talking
like
about the current one you just saw.
Yes,
okay.
the new Nosferatu.
Okay, yes, it wasn't. They didn't go into a musical. That's good.
No,
to hear.
that's what I'm
Makes
saying.
me
It's
happy.
like,
I was
well,
worried.
you know how like some movies, it's like they
Artistic
recreate
liberties, or they just,
yes,
not even
where it's like,
just, yeah.
why would you do that? Why would you?
But since we've talked about this director, and so
Oh yeah,
I know that both of us. I haven't seen it yet, but I was knowing the work that he's done, Robert Eggers, with like the Northman and the Witch and stuff, to where it was in good hands.
And I was gonna say with Witch,
hands.
the amount of like work and stuff he put into
the world
whole
building and just the aesthetic,
the period correctness of everything too, and how he made sure like he slowly built it on. So that's what, and I saw, and this is something that I thought was funny. So, and
so it's a comedy.
Like there was people that I saw in different comments on stuff knocking it, talking about, oh, this is too long and this and that, and it's like, look,
how long is it?
2.5 hours. And in my opinion, it's like, what do you think a movie like Nosferatu should be? This dude took a movie that hasn't really properly been done. It's like they did there was one in like the 70s, I think, or 80s that they redid. There was like a remake, 70s or 80s.
Yeah,
that
I know
came
that Werner
out.
Herzog was actually directed some iteration of it that you're talking about.
Yeah, they're all good, but it's like, it's funny because people were like, oh, 2.5 hours. It's like they're doing it
in front of the TV for 10 hours at a time. It drives me nuts.
Yes,
Maybe
I know.
It's because they couldn't pause it to go take a tinkle in the middle of the theater. I don't,
Yeah. And it's just funny too, because I saw people commenting being like, this is the first movie I walked out on because there was a scene that upset them because of the content of it. And I'm like, okay, so you're telling me you got upset because a vampire in a movie you were watching did something that appalled you and you left.
So these are comments
because of
you
vampire,
found on your own, or that were like posted in some article.
It was
you
on the trailer comment section.
But
the
those
trailers.
are comments that are valuable, probably more than That's the source provocative comments they probably like up at the top, I bet.
Well, it's interesting. So it's like, maybe, I don't know. I scrolled through a shitload, and a lot of what I was seeing was
more hate than love?
Well, no, there was love in there, but a lot of what I was seeing was knocking it for stupid reasons is all I was trying to say. And which was runtime, and the vampire offended me. And I was like, I'm sorry you got offended by Nosferatu.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess they should have made sure it was very modeled after the Twilight vampire or something. And it just
somebody hated on
how I don't want to call them stupid.
No,
right?
but
how
the
artistic and casual viewer, how just the artistic integrity and the beauty of what he's done is totally lost on them, which is fine. It's just it's just interesting to see.
Yeah, because
you wish that they could see the beauty.
Yes,
you wish they could.
You wish they could just get. Oh, okay. It's like whenever you pretty much came over and saw somebody had been watching Twin Peaks and. You were like, who was watching Twin Peaks? And I was like, I was.
Right here. Get over
here.
I
was like, I was watching it, but I stopped. But I stopped because
it
was shitty acting. I thought that, and you're like, no, it's intentional. And I'm like, wait, what? And you're like, no, this is, and I'm like.
First of all, trust me.
Okay.
Second of all, it's the best show of all time.
Third of all, kiss me.
Kiss me.
Turn the
David
lights
Lynch,
off.
It's all intentional. He's an artist, and snuggle with me right now.
Yes.
And it was great.
So it was like, yes, you do hope that there's a bit of that. But I was going to say, last thing about Nosferatu is people were hating on something that I thought was arguably one of the coolest things about him, his fucking mustache.
That's right.
Dude, that
gave
was
him
the
a liberty, probably the biggest liberty he took.
Yes. That is the biggest liberty
badass.
he took, and it's sick because he's this
Count
like
Dracula with a baller 70s mustache.
Dude, this dude's got as they would call it in the 70s, a big old womb broom.
Oh, a what?
A womb broom. Womb.
I have actually never heard that.
Never heard womb broom?
Nope. I believe it though. I love it.
Yeah.
So
he Nosferatu.
I think I'm
had
probably
a pretty
gonna grow
good
mine
one.
back out.
You should. You really should.
Yeah.
You really
think I
should.
miss it.
Yeah, I miss it. The way it tickles me when we kiss.
It's funny, my ID's got a mustache on it, so whenever I still randomly get carded for whatever reason.
Yeah, because you look old as shit. So
I'm an old man. They're like, oh, what's the mustache? I'm like, oh, so you don't think I look good like this?
Yeah.
They're like, no, sir.
That's not it.
And that's not how they sounded. That's how I think they sounded.
That's how my guy sounds at mine. And if he doesn't sound like that, or a place I go, I don't go there at the gas station.
Yeah, I don't want anyone that looks or sounds like me servicing me.
Nope. So, next segment. So you have what do you got going lined up
man,
first?
Mikey, I have
is it what I had recommended, or did I spur you on?
I need to give you maim,
and
I need to talk about
I heard about maiming. People were talking about
No, I'm joking. No, I need to talk about maim, but yeah, it's everyone who's out there on Twitter, all our people, I love you.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah, we're gonna. I would say we're gonna be implementing some interesting tokenomics. We're gonna change it a little bit.
Not to be confused with thugonomics.
Not thugonomics, but that might kind of be in play.
Well,
and in the background,
you do have to be a thug to buy our
thug
coin.
in mind, of it. Yeah, so I just have some ideas. We're probably gonna look at some kind of like a token burning mechanism that would try and have some interaction. Token holders to where. Yeah, we'll just have
like
some
a CD burner.
Yeah, like CD burners. No, it's different ways. Like if people interact, or even just about the. I'm working on it, but just basically burning tokens is like reducing the total number that there are, so it'll increase the value of each token whenever you reduce. Tokens that haven't.
But it's not like market manipulation. How's that?
No, it's token burning. It's a practice.
Thing. It's a real.
It's
that's
a
what I'm
thing
saying.
in the world of cryptocurrency. Yeah,
that's cool.
So yeah, but I'm just saying, there's some, there's gonna be some stuff in Q1 we're gonna get rolling just to really try and, make the experience and engagement that much more interesting,
immersive.
So yeah, that's it for that. But we did have a homework assignment.
1973.
Relating to the movies, yes. That was the year we stumbled upon.
Twas the year that the
and you
roundabout
said you watched
wheel,
so many movies that you don't even know.
I know. I was like, dude, I really don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I saw so many that year. That was a good year. I was in a lot. I had a lot of flings that year.
You did?
I had a couple of flings in 73. There was a handful of ladies that I was flinging.
You were very
with
sexually active in the 70s. I remember that.
Yeah, man.
It was the Mikey era.
No, I know, dude. It was pretty crazy. Paper Moon. You should watch Paper Moon.
There you go.
Funny story about Paper Moon. This was a guy named Burton Gilliam. Our grandfather actually trained him in boxing at the Buckner Boys Home. And he was in the movie Blazing Saddles.
Which is not Paper Moon.
No, and Paper Moon was his first movie. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, something unplugged me.
But either way, Paper Moon was Burton Gilliam's first movie. And Burton Gilliam is a funny guy. He did those, for those of y'all who are listening and you maybe don't know it, but you're from Dallas or whatever and you don't necessarily know who I'm talking about, but you want to know who I'm talking about, the Westway Ford commercials. We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here. That guy, Burton Gilliam. So he was in that movie Paper Moon I just mentioned.
I can be looking for the ones we were supposed to. There. Let's see.
It is a good movie, though. If you'd like, I can read the description. During the Great Depression, a con man finds himself saddled with a young girl who may or may not be his daughter, and the two forge an unlikely partnership. What a fun. Stephanie. Stephanie got saddled with. I can't hear you. You can't hear me. We'll be right back. Be seeing you. On the bottoms of your feet, because that's where your feet pull in the most of.
So cheese foot, that's where that comes from.
Cheese feet. And then people were like, "Oh, your feet smell like shit." No, that's cheese.
That's cheese, sir.
And then they're like, "Oh."
Well, yes, I would.
Then they realize like they feel rude at that point for accusing you of having smelly feet, but then they realize it was cheese.
Cheese foot.
Didn't we? Cheese. Didn't we throw you in a dumpster?
Maybe.
Or lock you in a dumpster?
You know what? You need to watch it.
Yeah, I got out.
So this Paper Moon trailer, because I haven't seen the movie, so let's just see.
That was it. Top one.
Yeah,
it's only
that
a minute long. Yeah.
And this one's 3:55.
I don't know.
If it would just,
Amen, Essie. May I just know your ass is still warm.
Peter Bogdanovich.
Let me explain something to you.
I wish I had a fun
If you
name.
was my pa, that'd be different.
Well, I ain't your pa, so just get that out of your head. I don't care what those neighbor ladies said.
Over cardboard sea, but it wouldn't be make believe if you be.
What if that's Tatum O'Neal's fault? I think it actually might. Oh, that's how I know this. I think she was like one of the youngest people to. She might have won an Academy Award for this, or if not, she was nominated. And I think she still might be the youngest, or if not, it's recent. I don't know if
it's a
Haley
great
Joel
movie.
Osment or maybe Dakota Fanning was not.
$12. Oh, yeah, well, honey, we have to have a little goodness in our hearts. I mean, considering the circumstances.
Never mind the circumstances. I'll take it.
I'll have what she's having.
She's a little con artist.
Dude. Yeah, I need to watch that.
That's a good movie.
Heck yeah.
So Paper Moon, yeah, Burton Gilliam's in it. I think he's like one of the bellhops or something, like a hotel scene or something. Another.
You gotta watch out. These
another
YouTube
great-
videos will just keep playing. won't
Another
they?
great another great movie from that era, 1973, American Graffiti.
Oh yes, yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's honestly, I remember when I watched this movie for the first time being
You
like,
actually enjoyed it? I haven't actually seen it all the way through. It's like one of those movies that was on TV a lot when I was a kid.
Dude.
And Ron Howard's in it.
dude, it's American
Yeah,
Graffiti.
I know exactly what I'm trying to think.
It is
Ron
literally
Howard
one of those
directed,
movies
or if
where
it
I
was
had never
George
s-
Lucas. It's either him, something crazy. Is it Ron Howard was in it? I don't know if he directed it.
Yes, he is in it, and it is directed by George Lucas.
Yep, that was correct. Which
The writer is George Lucas, Gloria Katz, and
which is like one of the few things outside of Star Wars that people should be aware of. He did it.
and it was a fantastic movie because it's like it's really good. It's one of those where you're like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, how did I never know? To me, this is way cooler than any of the movies I remember seeing. Like Grease, this beats the shit out of Grease, in my opinion. I know it's a different thing in a sense, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
I just remember the first time I saw this being like this movie's badass. Like it captured the whole era. It's almost like a real
Like a
it's
real-life
like a
scrapbook.
Dazed and Confused. It's like a
Almost.
Dazed and Confused of the 60s.
Yeah.
American Graffiti. Where were you in 62?
And that's the voice of Wolfman Jack. That like voice, I believe, is supposed to be Wolfman Jack.
Oh yeah, it's one of the movies I've seen. It's been many years.
And jump into your candy-colored custom or your screaming machine, cruise downtown and catch American Graffiti.
American Graffiti.
That's definitely
It's
one
a
of those
movie.
important films.
Go back
Important
in
American
time.
Where
films.
were you in 62?
Is that you in that beautiful car? Gee,
Yeah.
what a waste of machinery.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock.
Curtis
Rock.
Sanders.
Around the clock.
Richard Dreyfuss.
What did you say? Someone wants me. Someone wrote me.
Yeah, his character's awesome in this movie.
And I bet you're smart enough to get us some brew.
A ballpoint pen, a pint of Old Harper.
Okay, you got an ID for the liquor?
Nah, I left it in the car.
You'll have to get it before.
Oh, well, I forgot the car.
And that's like a scene that's been,
Fun to getting out of this
you know,
turkey.
a template
Yes.
for so many like
17 forever.
super bads. Anytime a kid's at the checkout.
Never get tired of going steady with somebody that ain't around. I'm up for grabs.
If I had a boyfriend, he'd pound you.
What's wrong?
Here's old Ronnie.
Yep.
Go to hell.
Get your boogaloos out,
Yep, Wolfman, there he is.
Wolfman.
Wolfman is everywhere.
Dude, what a guy. Wolfman Jack.
You know Toby Juarez? We killed him last night.
The Pharaohs. That dude runs a car gang called the Pharaohs, a car club.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really sick. He's rolling around that old Mercury.
Can't stand it, man. I can dig it.
It's one of those great old movies about romance, racing, and rock and roll.
Oh, American Graffiti.
Such a good movie, dude.
Yeah, man. I need to definitely have to watch this.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. Yeah, it's just it's it's one of those. Like I said, it surprises you with how good it is, and like I said, if you haven't seen it,
no, I'm just kind of skimming through. Yeah, Serpico came out that year. That's definitely one people need to watch.
Yep.
And I actually did watch a couple. I'll pull chairs to kind of scan it through because I know Soylent Green, which I didn't rewatch it just because that's a movie, and that's where Chris. It'd be nice for him to.
I was gonna say
definitely watch that whenever I was just a young child, middle school. We'd walk to the video store and rented every science fiction movie that they had there. And Soylent Green. It's people, Elaine. That line. It's
people. Yeah.
Charlton Heston is definitely. I need to do a segment on him because he was my hero and still is one of my heroes.
Heston? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to say one of the last movies, I might recommend another one, but I do have to get this one in. I have to get Enter the Dragon.
Yes.
That's probably
I'm pretty sure
one of the best. It's the best. I think it's the best probably kung fu movie.
Yeah, this is where he fought.
Game of Death was amazing.
Kareem Abdul.
No, that's Game of Death.
That was the last one, right?
I think so. But this one, I think, probably is the best, just because of like filmography, scene, everything. Like Game of Death is amazing, but Enter the Dragon.
This is the one with the mirror fight.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's dude. This is
where he's on the island with all the other fighters. What's that dude? Richard Kelly or Jim Kelly?
Yeah,
is in this. He was like an American karate guy, I think.
This is a movie. Definitely glad they did the 4K remaster there. It's definitely legit. Definitely need to rewatch it for that.
I've come to speak to you about a tournament of martial arts.
Roper!
What's your style?
You can call it the art of fighting.
It did remind me how I watched The Crow around Halloween for the first time ever. The original.
Oh, really?
Like the original that his son was in.
Oh, yes.
He died during the filming of, which was like actually. The more I read about it and learned about it, it seems definitely orchestrated. Like somebody there was like all about a rat, like there's a loaded gun which shouldn't have been, type thing where he got.
Well, dude, did you know did you know all that shit? Like, while people can argue or whatever, say that about
Alec Baldwin,
Bruce Lee, and I remember hearing this a lot when I was younger, so I guess that technically some of it could be false.
You come right out of a comic book.
Yeah,
but that he was like being heavily targeted by like the Chinese or whatnot, or the people that were pretty much that were against him spreading like any kind of knowledge of like the martial arts with the West. Like there was people, so like even like I saw something where there was like a rumor, I think, about some like Chinese like witch doctor putting a hex on him and shit too. Like,
dang, I believe it. I didn't know. I knew there's even his death. I feel like there's a lot of weird. I don't know, for me, mysterious elements to it that seem questionable. But at the same time,
because I know there's the whole Quentin Tarantino thing, like where that's why like he did in that movie, like he kind of had that character. Like,
where the family got upset with how it was portrayed, but it's like
it
was. But yeah, dude, no, that's one people definitely need to watch. Yeah, and as I was scanning through here. This is a foreign film, and I actually used parts of this in like one of my random shorts that I made around the Olympics when that came in. I was really into breakdancing for a bit.
Yes.
There's one of my interspersed like breakdances with scenes from this
Fantastic
tripped
Planet.
out. Yeah, let's pull up the trailer. It was I believe it was French.
That looks weird.
Yeah, it's really cool, trippy 70s sci-fi animation, and I believe it was French. Fantastic Planet trailer. There we go. Yeah, this is it is what it appears like. Tripped out animated feature film.
It's like it's like a Salvador Dali painting brought to life.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty cool.
I think I've seen clips of this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've definitely
seen sort of
clips.
thing. I'm sure people have seen random things and like
didn't know where it came from.
They might not know that it came from anything, but this bad boy right here.
special grand prize.
What the fuck?
Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, that scene here. I used this part in one of the shorts.
Fascinating. Fine adventure story.
Skate,
Bro,
that was
that
an
thing that's
amazing
spinning on the
review.
screen looks like one of those UAP things they...
Yeah, dude. Using sound to do all that?
Yeah.
I drink and shatter your milkshake.
Brilliant. I recommend it.
If you got nothing better to do.
Spellbinding.
Dude, I know what I'm doing.
Oh, you could be watching this tonight? Yeah, there we go. Eat some plant-based foods and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you don't know if that's the drugs or if that's how it was. Yeah, man. It's yeah, you get the gist. But it's cool though. Plot and everything, it's pretty bonkers sci-fi stuff, which of course I love.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to. Fantastico Planet. But so yeah, I did watch a couple movies this last week. One of which I'd seen, before, but I felt like it was a good rewatch with The Sting, which brings
The Sting. I don't know if I've seen
have
that.
our
Sounds
classic
familiar.
buddy Robert
I don't think
get
I
to
have.
see our Robert Redford. The Brad and Pitt look. The
Time
whole-
traveler.
Yep. And then Paul Newman, kind of the older, semi-older character. So yeah, it's just cool. Robert Redford being like the younger Brad Pitt style guy learning the Sting trailer. Get distracted whenever I'm doing things.
She picked him clean. He never missed him.
In this song,
that
like
Sting
this is
experience?
the soundtrack
How
from
good
that
you
movie.
felt?
Dun, dun, dun,
The
dun,
Sting,
dun, dun, dun,
winner
dun,
of
dun.
7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, is back.
Chicago was the place to be in 1936. In those days, the big
You would
con
like this
was a
for
dying
sure.
art. Until a first-class grifter on the lam from the FBI
Oh,
and a
yeah,
young
dude.
gaffer from Joliet
Gotta get it snug.
joined forces to con the Big Mick.
He's not as tough as he thinks. Neither are we.
Huh? Oh, that's, Paul Newman. Yeah. Did you ever see Color of Money?
There wasn't a con he
Yes.
couldn't run.
I loved him in that, dude.
And there
It's
wasn't a
another
sucker who
hustler
couldn't gaff.
style
Fuck,
movie.
dude, he was so good.
It's all about the con, like the big orchestrated con.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
like the movie that did it, like
Okay.
the first.
$3 grand on the rent, Jimmy.
Think of like
He's a sucker for
Ocean's
lady
movies like
11.
that, all those. Like this
And a
is
sap for
the
lady
backbone of it all.
Thanks for the big evening, hooker. Next time you want to spend $50 on me, mail it.
Robert Shaw is the mark.
Robert Shaw.
In the underworld, he's the Big Mick.
Name's Lonergan. Doyle Lonergan.
It starts with the setup.
You owe me 15 grand, pal.
Then you bait the hook.
Your boss is quite a card player, Mr. Kelly. How does
Reminds me of the trailer or
He cheats.
the French Connection. You got the bang in the stakeout.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he won't know it.
Yep.
Seems like a way they did trailers, huh?
The Sting.
The Sting.
He's there. Let's get on it.
Oh, man.
Don't go
Yeah.
back to your place tonight.
$500,000 to win. Lucky Don.
Paul Newman and Robert Redford. This
Be saying
time,
it.
They
He
might
did,
get
dude.
away with it.
Yeah, dude.
Dang.
You should watch that one with the woman. She might like it too.
Okay, yeah, it's a good recommendation,
Yeah,
actually.
good
She
classic
she does like classics.
So that was good. This next one, I'm
me
very glad
see.
I watched. I hadn't seen, and it was a launching pad basically for some very familiar faces as well as the director. A little film called Mean Streets.
Oh, yeah.
This
I
is
have seen this one.
Yeah, like pretty much I don't think if it's not Martin Scorsese's first film, I think this is the one that put him on the map, and it was really cool. I'll play the trailer, then I'll talk because it was it's pretty cool.
These are honorable men.
You know, Tony, you gotta worry about
Harvey
talking about
Keitel.
one thing and then zap.
Charlie,
You gotta be like me.
Tony,
Just be sure and tell him to be here tonight, all right?
Michael,
Vince Vaughn.
Giovanni.
You're still around that kid, Johnny Boy. This Johnny Boy is named after me. Nice, huh? Oh, sure. But this Johnny Boy is a little bit like your friend Graffiti.
That's the wolf.
Yeah, it's Harvey.
I
Harvey
understand
Keitel.
you try to help him out because of our family and his family. But that's nice, I understand. But watch yourself. Don't spoil anything. Honorable men go with honorable men.
4 honorable men. And Johnny Boy.
Johnny Boy is our good friend Robert.
Last Tuesday. What are you talking about?
Look how young he
You
is.
don't know.
Didn't
He's
he?
here. Where? Out
Talk
front.
about a working
See?
relationship.
Yeah, so what do I care?
This is the beginning of him and
Let me go get him,
Scorsese's
we'll
working
straighten this thing
relationship.
out,
Yeah.
all right? Hey, wait a minute, Charlie.
Look at his
hair,
too, dude.
Well, you're right. I'm right. Yeah, was it last Tuesday? Yeah, that's the Tuesday. That was last week.
Oh,
That's
look
before the
at
one
him.
that's about to come up. My mistake. I'm sorry. Forgive me. It was last week, the week before that I was thinking of.
4 honorable men.
They're not even
Hey,
honorable.
there ain't nothing wrong with me, my friend. I'm feeling fine. Keep your mouth shut.
We're not gonna pay. We're not paying.
Joey, but why? We just said we were gonna have a drink.
And we don't pay mooks.
Mooks. There it is.
What's a mook?
A mook? What's a mook?
You can't call us a mook.
What's a mook?
You can't call me a mook.
I can't?
No.
I give you
It's just funny. It's just making up a slur, basically.
Yeah.
Pay their
It's just-
debt tonight in Mean Streets.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, I still got some more.
I see what you're doing.
Like they throw the title up there.
Saw you.
What happens when she... You know, I borrow money all over this neighborhood, left and right, from everybody. I never paid them back, so I can't borrow no money from nobody no more, right?
I feel like
So who
that's
does that leave
maybe
me
the only
borrow
time you'll
money
see
from
him with
was
Shaggy here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he has
Borrow
to have
money
done
from
it
you, because
again,
you're
but I don't know,
the only
dude. Look at
person
that.
around here that I
It's
can
like a
borrow
beetle.
money from without paying back, right? Because I don't give this shit about you or nobody else. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Honorable men.
And I feel like I don't. His height, you know, he's Rob De Niro's like,
Honorable
I
men.
guess taller than I realize sometimes. Like, he can, or at least
Yeah.
taller than the average. Not super tall, but you know, seeing him kind of like a tall, lanky-looking guy. One of the finer American films. It has a high chance emotional range that is dizzyingly sensual. Triumphantly heralds the arrival of director Martin Scorsese. I'll be darned. It is pretty cool to see the film and actually see, like, they say
Yeah,
this and then
the-
actually see the
How
career
it
he's
takes
had.
off, yeah.
But it's cool whenever that's been, they identified it. Ooh, even pulverizing. Just reading some of these reviews that it shows, and I guess that this is something they definitely must have done. It seems like a theme where that to help promote it, they
Yeah.
show some of the reviews. That's what the critics say about
Mean Streets.
But yeah, dude, so I was sitting there watching it, and Martin Scorsese, of course, he's somebody that I feel like a lot of us, we definitely, you know, we love, we appreciate, you know, but as I get older, it's like Goodfellas is probably, or that's probably a lot of people's, they bring
Yeah.
that up, and of course it should be, but, you know, for me, I get kind of worn out with some of the same.
Yes.
He has bridged out some here and there, but he's still an amazing director, amazing gift, amazing craft.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and it's in this seeing, you know, him and just put this stamp. I don't know. It was really cool because like certain elements in some of his films that I feel seem dated or just kind of worn out. Like this is him as like I guess a relatively young director actually doing this stuff for the first time in '73, where I can be like, I can see how this was different. This was visionary, and the use of the soundtrack the way that the soundtrack, you know, mixed into the film, in the way that now I'm kind of like worn out hearing certain songs, but hearing them do it here in '73, the way he's doing it is pretty awesome.
No,
it does kind of show me how, and it's fine, and that's just the way things are. Like a person will have a certain kind of formula and they'll kind of stick with it for a lot of what they do, which, you know, if they're directors. There's a lot of stuff that goes into actually getting a film made and just having your own style. But it is interesting to see just how that's permeated and persisted so well. But just seeing the initial, the genesis of it all was pretty cool, man.
No, absolutely.
So he needs to watch some Mean Streets.
Yeah.
And I think that we can put a pin in 73.
Yeah, I mean, there was some other good ones. There
Actually,
was some other good 70 movies that came out in 73.
Yeah.
The Wicker Man came out in 73.
Yeah,
Wicker Man.
I saw that there. It's great, which I've actually seen that one. It is not a pleasant watch.
No. No.
And I know they remade it with Nick Cage, and that was garbage.
Yes.
And this is just really, I feel like it's almost like the closest thing to what Ari Aster's kind of doing.
With Midsummer?
With Midsummer and stuff, but not any near graphic. But for 73, just a really eerie and unsettling film that has just an eeriness and psychological component underneath it all. It's, I feel like that's probably, I would think it's an inspiration for him or some kind of definitely film that, oh, look at these pugs going. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to break this pug fight up, keep this pug fight chill.
No, this is what the people want.
Yeah, these pugs, dude, they get to, this is pug fight number 2 of the night.
Whew. Oh, I need to change this.
So yeah, what do you got? What's up next after we put a pin in 73 for the movies?
Yeah, I mean, so you can leave your hands. We definitely have a topic suggestion box that we need to check. I don't know if you want to do that right this moment.
Oh,
or
we can
wait and do that in a little bit.
Yeah, we can do that in a bit, I guess.
Yeah, we have that, and I would say, I think we have right now something you wanted to talk about. I had some sci-fi shows to talk about, but I can do that towards, we can split up the entertainment.
Well, let's take
stuff.
a quick break and then come back.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Smoke PCP.
And we're back. So yeah, before we get into talking about some other things, let's talk about something.
Yeah, tell me. What's on your mind, Mikey?
It's funny, you had texted me the other night whenever we had went home. Was that a week ago?
Yeah, whenever we were recording last, I believe.
Yeah.
You and your brother?
Yeah, and we were heading home, and right before we left, we had that strange
someone got an advisor on
thing
phone,
on our phones. Yeah, and it popped up, and it said, like heavy fog warning advisory or something.
Yeah, like severe fog, some dense fog warning or advisory.
Severe something, which is weird because it's like, I mean, we're here in Dallas, Texas, so it's like, I mean, fuck, it's not like we're in a super...
Is that even a warning you've ever gotten on your phone since this system's been implemented?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen a heavy fog warning come through on my phone.
So it's like, huh.
And so, it was just kind of weird, and I almost laughed about I remember kind of laughing like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it made me think of the severe wind advisory from Deadpool 2, thinking, it seemed harmless, but it was actually way more, significant. And it was actually,
and that's kind of like what this was, where it was like I kind of laughed at it, and I thought of it as like, oh yeah, I'm sure like it's more or less something that it's not going to be widespread, but they're putting it out.
Almost.
Well, and I saw it as like for instance of like in areas where the conditions were right, like for instance being around lakes, big bodies of water, stuff like that. That tonight's the perfect night for this to happen, so beware that you could have dense, heavy, thick fog. But no, this was like we leave your house, and pretty much as soon as we're on Gus Thomason or whatever, it's like it's pretty foggy. Like you can see the haze
like,
around everything.
Is it a little extra foggy to you?
Dude, and so we're driving down a Northwest Highway right there, like where Buckner comes out at, and I mean it's thick. It's like, dude, this is dense. And right there again, that is kind of a bottom, so it does hold moisture in there. You're going over the lake or over that,
Yeah, it's near White Rock.
Yes, and so it's like you drive over that bridge that creek runs over, or that goes over that creek or whatever, and all that was still foggy as hell. Foggy the whole way home. We get to one point where I'm about to go and make this turn, and I'm like looking for this fast food restaurant. And I'm like, yo, is this Jack in the Box even open? And we're seriously from the corner where I was about to turn to this place. I'm like, we're probably about 100 to 150 to 200 yards from this Jack in the Box. And I couldn't see it. Totally pitch black.
Yeah.
Could not even see this
city
building.
with lights and
yes.
Yeah.
Street lights, everything in a building that once we got within 30 yards of it, we could see that it was lit up.
Yeah.
At that point, we could finally see. And what was crazy about it is that literally every single sign was on. The big sign out front, all the signs around it. There was like 2 cars in the drive-through. All the parking lot signs were on.
Through all that dense fog, basically.
We could not see it from like 150 yards out. It should have been a clear. Normally, you can see it perfect.
It's probably the closest thing to actually walking through a cloud, maybe.
Dude,
which makes you think what could easily be hiding in clouds. Like, what could have easily been hiding 100 yards in front of you?
Yep. And no, it was weird, too, because it was just like, eventually later, of course, I end up seeing how widespread it was.
Yeah, how widespread was it? Because I didn't really see or look into it.
Those people all over the country. Those people that were all over the country that were experiencing it. Yeah, they were experiencing this like heavy fog.
That's something interesting I didn't know about.
And so one thing that was
curious
weird is that people I think in like Florida that were experiencing it, like they had noticed in like Ring doorbells where it just looked foggy, but then like under Ring doorbell footage and stuff like that, you could see like the tiny particles or whatever flying around, and it was like you can't see it under the naked eye. It just looked like a dense fog.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people have talked about how it's number one to me. It's peculiar just at how widespread it was.
Yeah,
like that there was a huge dense
to
fog.
Me.
Yeah.
Something affecting.
It wasn't just.
I'm
Dallas,
not saying it's
like,
not possible. I don't know enough about the weather patterns, but it still makes me.
Yes.
It piques my mind and or natural built-in kind of tinfoil hats we both were born with.
Yeah.
Just to consider what else might have been a factor in that happening. So I'm thinking, what time was it? It was like last Saturday. It was for me. I remember y'all left. It was probably 2 a.m. or something. Because I remember.
Yeah.
I was going between our back doors, and I briefly stopped in the saw in the backyard. I'm like, oh, okay, that fog warning wasn't joking around. And I've seen dense fog like that before. It's something I've seen maybe 3 times my whole life, I feel like.
Yeah.
And not saying it's probably like you're saying common in certain areas with bodies of water, just certain factors, but to just be in the heart of like a thriving metropolis of sorts, it's quite rare.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something I want to look into more. Just learning and knowing and understanding.
Yeah, so like right here, one of the crazy things. I mean, we're gonna go. You want to talk about tinfoil hat? This is one of the crazy stuff.
That's what I'm here for.
Something like one of the articles from Daily Mail: mysterious fog sweeping U.S. sparks bioweapon fears amid alarming echoes.
Our little drone stuff would potentially be kind of somehow related to it, maybe.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of videos and people talking about it, like about how like some people sensed a weird smell.
If that was my wife, that's
Delhi,
anything and everywhere she goes.
Delhi suffers worst fog of season, 0%
Delhi, like
visibility.
India?
Huh?
You said Delhi? Like Delhi, like the city in India?
Mm-hmm.
So this was global?
This right here, 24 minutes ago, Delhi suffers worst fog of season, 0 visibility for 9 hours.
Okay. I'm guessing that was a different one.
Probably. That was, like I said, this was recently.
Yeah.
I can look up that date specifically later on to see, but there was, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There was so many people, at least, that were experiencing, because like I said, there was other people in, other parts of the state or U.S. that were also just as taken back by the fog that hey, I've never really experienced fog like this.
Not just people our age, people who've been around double our age.
Yeah.
And maybe people half our age.
Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah, dude.
Who knows?
It was an experience.
'Twas an experience. It was. But let's go ahead and talk about some of your sci-fi stuff. I want to hear some of the.
Well, yeah, it's worth bringing up. So I love it whenever.
Or should we talk about how we got there?
Exactly. Whenever I randomly get a message from Mikey, it's beautiful, asking me. A lot of times I feel like he has an idea what the answer is, but it's like, have you watched Babylon 5 was roughly what you asked?
Yeah, I remember, because I remember you saying something. I remember at one point something about Babylon 5 coming up, and I think I said, you've seen Babylon 5, haven't you, or something about that.
Yeah,
and you're like,
if you
boy,
saw me,
have
I almost should have sent you a video with me like,
yeah, your face. You're like,
Mikey.
Yeah.
have I seen? I love a lot. My love of science fiction.
Man,
maybe
yeah.
just it knows no bounds. But yeah, I love my Star Trek. I love so many things, and Babylon 5 is one that I got, or at least I remember when it was on. Started in the early 90s. I was pretty young. I remember it airing and just being like thinking, oh, there's another sci-fi show, and it at that age it didn't look quite as compelling as maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe it was like around COVID, whenever I was able to work from home more, or basically started working from home, and just kind of having things on in the background or just sort of environment. That was one I wanted to check out, and I plowed through that bad boy pretty quickly because things
it came out in
94. 94, yeah. So there was a pilot made for TV movie type thing. There was an hour and a half that aired, and that did well. It was like a made for TV movie aired that did well, so they picked it up.
Okay.
But on top of just being a great, sprawling space opera that went 5 seasons, it was. I've talked about the serialized shows or shows that have arcs that span multiple seasons, sort of thing, and where there's other shows that like Deep Space Nine also did that a little bit after, started doing that, where a lot of sci-fi and different shows are just they had Monster of the Week type episodes where they're episodic, literally to where there's kind of a big story going on in the background, but it wasn't a part of the significant narrative, and every episode by week was its own self-contained adventure of sorts. Just like your cop shows and everything like that, procedurals and whatnot. But so from the gate, so J. Michael Straczynski, the writer creator, he wrote out all 5 seasons from the beginning. So the show went into being created, and he had every season, every episode already written out. So it's not like it made a season and they kept it going. He had the whole story penned out from the get-go. So it's literally the whole, and he had the idea of it being literally like a novel for television, to where like episodes and things are literally more like chapters, and like they were written with that mindset in mind, cool, for it to be like a sci-fi novel for television. With the 5 seasons, it's not like, I hope it goes longer. That's how many seasons he wrote it to be. So if it had gone longer, it would have been, people talk about, oh, the show went on too long, this or that, because a lot of times
it's 5 seasons.
5 seasons is only 4, but he has 5. Well, you know what? I've made a bad joke about 4 seasons. Oh. Yeah, I snuck it in there. It's like, yeah. No, but dude, so yeah, it had that element, and just as far as it's about this kind of space station on the outskirts that was almost like a United Nations, like an outpost of sorts for like all kinds of alien races, but like a peaceful, neutral place that was almost like a significant as far as mankind and humanity having
like
some kind of an outpost at the furthest, and all the different plots and races that it deals with, and the political intrigue behind it all, the depth of it all it's a lot. So it might be a lot for other people to get into, but then it gets into stuff that is right in line with a lot of our interesting kind of just metaphysical ideas too, with some of the things. Yeah, like it is quite genius. And
so all right, so this is just for the viewer at home, and to kind of again somewhat to interview you in a way.
With the vampire.
Yes, the vampire.
Nosferatu.
This
is Nosferatu speaking? Is this how it sounds?
Is this that fella Nosferatu?
Hey.
Yeah, I'll suck your blood.
Okay, what do
you got?
What do you want to know, son?
No, so what I was gonna say is so when I had messaged you, you had said that I had the question about Babylon 5. You answered that you said, "Boy, have I seen it? Oh, I've seen it.
I've seen it."
And then we talked about that, but one thing that I had an idea that I thought would be cool is if you could almost have Matthew's Guide to Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I love the idea, and it's
to somehow
a guide for my personal enjoyment of it, because I don't ever like to think that what I like is for everyone for the best, but for me, what I think it. Yes, I've watched a lot, so if you're interested in sci-fi, you haven't had a chance to. Hopefully, these are things.
And this is and again, this to be prefaced with again knowing that this is your personal opinion of your years of watching it. From again, you're a lover of all things sci-fi, from Logan's Run all the way to obviously like Alien stuff, Twin Peaks, like anything that has that kind of unusual.
All of it.
Yes, and so it's like you've seen almost anything I've seen sci-fi-ish or heard of, you've already seen. And so I do think that everybody can understand that, your opinion's your opinion, but I do think that it'd be cool with all of that knowledge you have of having watched
tell you what
it.
Sucks
Which
and what's
ones
good.
do you think, for instance, here, this could maybe, first thing that comes to mind when I say something, we could try it this way maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. So
First thing that comes to mind, like right there, what?
Legendary.
Legendary.
Easily dismissed by a lot of people. I mean, but there's a
rabid fan base. It is more than
has for a reason. Like it's legit.
Sorry about that.
And better than Star Wars. That's the second thing.
Okay, thank you. And that was one thing that worked nicely because you just saying legendary. It tells me that it is worth, because that's the thing for me outside looking in when it comes to I've never watched like any I've watched very little Star Trek.
It's okay. It's only so much time to watch stuff.
I know. And so all I was going to say is that it's like for me in an ocean that is sci-fi, Star Trek to me, not having watched it, it's like, is it really that good?
You probably seem
it almost
like
to
it's
me
so much
seemed
to
like,
bite off. Is it worth getting into trying to
not
care
just
about it?
that, but it's almost like I've seen Star Wars. I know Star Wars is a movie. It's not Star Trek was a show, and it covers it's a totally different thing. And so all I was going to say is to a casual from the outside, you've seen Star Wars.
Yes.
You assume that it's like Star Trek is probably a similar thing as Star Wars. And you think that, this isn't going to, I know, I'm not saying that this is,
keep going,
I'm just saying that like you kind of get this feeling that it's like, I don't know. It's probably just another cult thing because a lot of people I know watch Star Wars and they're like, I don't like it. It's dumb. I don't know why they did that. That was stupid. That's what a lot of people feel. So I think what Star Trek ends up where people, you don't really check it out because you're like, I'm sure it's probably just a cult classic thing where beat me up, Scotty. I don't know. Is that what that's from?
Yes. That is.
So I feel like it falls in that category where it gets overlooked. But I love the fact that when I said Star Trek, you said legendary. So it is worth watching because it is you would put it in the realm of a quintessential sci-fi
television experience.
Yes.
Of great value. So yeah, but my first thing is, and it's no one's fault whenever they even try and think of comparing Star Wars and Star Trek. I grew up and I still I love and appreciate Star Wars for what it is. It's got some really cool storytelling, some cool this kind of sci-fi in the sense for me almost mixing. From me, like the elements of knights in that era, almost in I don't know. That's just me in wizard. Literally, it's like sci-fi fantasy, and it's very. I'm not gonna say childlike, or it's kind of it's cool because it's good versus evil in like the most plainest sense. There's some kind of gray areas of uncertainty and but it's pretty black and white, which is cool. Kids, it's pretty easy to get into, which is it's fine. It's kind of for me. It's not hard sci-fi. It's basic, which is cool. But again, so it's simple. So Star Trek is there's no magic, there's no force, nothing like that. It's way more
grounded
in what when human gets to a level of being able to travel in
what it would be like most likely.
Yeah, and it still does present humanity in a way that enough of it is like the things have gone past any conflicts that they referenced in the past. It's the point where we've gotten like really about as perfect as we can kind of be as our own civilization. You know, people are with not wanting for anything. They don't really need jobs and that sort of thing. But it's kind of funny because in some of the later shows that came on with CBS Paramount, there's some things where they even bringing up the concept of money was like not even a thought in anything from the TOS, the original series, to Next Generation, all the way up through even Enterprise. So, but yeah, it deals with a lot of more morally questionable and ambiguous circumstances that really they present ethical dilemmas that aren't easy to come to a conclusion and the captain, a lot of times he's literally just making the best choice he can, but there's oftentimes no perfect choice, because in life there's really no perfect choice for the most part. And so it's a way more thinking in that sense of presenting really interesting kind of philosophical, moral, ethical dilemmas that Star Wars
doesn't even address. It's not something they can't even get to, because you have to get to all the other shit of how does the Force work and what the fuck is a Jedi.
Which is cool. It's just
no, it's cool, but it scratches a different itch. I feel like, which is it's nice to know. It
scratches a different itch. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna say another. All right, what comes to mind? First thing that comes to mind when you hear Stargate SG-1.
I'm amazing, but I'm trying to think of a better word. I'm trying to think of one word. Fascinating. I'll just say fascinating.
Fascinating.
I mean,
it's worth a watch. Stargate's worth.
And okay, it is, and it's actually probably the most grounded, realistic one.
Really?
Yeah, because in what the movie came out in like '94 that show ended up being based on, which I remember saw the movie as a young person and think it was really cool, but I was like, really young, like elementary school. But it presents a very interesting story for humanity, or humanoids, basically humans being dispersed throughout the galaxy in ways to where it comes down to these there's these gates. This gate was discovered, I don't remember where on the planet, but they're some like really intelligent people are figure out how to like activate it, or if it can be activated, whatever. They mess around with it enough and it actually opens up, and you find out that it was buried because it was to keep safe. We didn't want that opening up because we were like the only human civilization that didn't get enslaved by this alien race that basically lives inside people and as hosts, and we're basically just slaves throughout the entire galaxy except for on planet Earth, where they're able to keep that gate hidden and everything. So it's really cool. So it's kind of realistic in that way, to where there's not lasers and all this stuff. There's some, when they get to alien technology, there's some of that, but like mankind, it's basically like when it came out, modern times, like modern military, like there's a character in there, the colonel who's might have been the colonel in Twin Peaks, the bald guy. He's basically like the same, which is really cool.
That's cool.
He's almost the same character,
and that's weird because it makes you think.
He really is
there's like a
kind of the same character. For me,
like a parallel.
There was a loose crossover, and just so that guy's badass.
That's cool.
It's definitely really worth checking out.
You wanna?
Yeah, we can we'll take a quick one
because I have more. More questions.
She did. My wife stole her pugs.
Wow, she came in here and stole
Stargate
pugs. Oh, yeah,
again.
So yeah, Stargate SG-1. That was interesting. All right. First thing that comes to mind. Now I'm going to skip around and go to maybe a different genre, different year, same genre, but I'm going to fast forward.
There's a chance. I hope you probably will come across
Westworld. First thing that comes to mind when you hear Westworld. I know we've talked about it briefly, and that's why I think it's important to get your view on it. But having been
a show that's perfect in its first season, and you almost wish it ended after it.
That's why I wanted to know. So, okay, and so why is that? Like, you have all of, and again, to anybody listening, this is Matt's opinion, his personal opinion on his take on Westworld. But again, it's from years of watching Sci-Fi,
watching the original Westworld as a child, which was actually based on movie that Yul Brynner
that came out in 1973.
Was Westworld 1973?
Came out in 1973.
How did we not mention that?
Well, because we were moving around. That's why I said there was so many.
You knew he'd get there.
Yes.
There we go.
I knew he was in that.
So Westworld, okay. And I say that should have been it would have been...
We can show a preview for it in a little bit.
Yeah. Should have been... And I do think the later seasons, for me personally, they've aged well. I think it was just the first season it had Anthony Hopkins, and it really just presented everything into the story and concept of basically a resort, future type resort where we have robots or androids, whatever you want to call them, so advanced that it's basically like a Western themed world, but you can do whatever you basically want. It's only the ultra wealthy can go, but you can basically do whatever you want to these robots and androids.
Like an augmented reality, virtual
but it's
reality,
real world. It's actually like going to Disney World and except it being an interactive thing where you can play with the robots, and they're basically, you can get away with doing anything you want to them, and so you get to see how cruel and just nasty a lot of humans can be, and that's kind of a catalyst for them kind of breaking free of their programming for the most part, and later on it kind of gets to all that point.
So why is it that you feel like? Sorry if I cut you off.
No,
why is it that you feel like it should have just ended at that? It's almost. I know you said the later seasons
more than it could chew and do well.
Okay.
After the first season,
that kind of makes sense.
Phil, I love a lot of the ideas. I love a lot of the direction and so many elements of it. But the
more
ideas
than it can
and
chew
stories,
to be able to do
couldn't
well, to
put
like
them
wrap
together
up.
For me in a great, compelling story that really kept me engaged and caring about each of the characters. It just didn't. Amazing ideas for me, but I just don't think again, I think it was just they bit off more than they could chew, and it was like a lot of in each following season.
How many seasons
was around. Was it 3 or 4? So the first one? Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I know this is a bit of a. And how many episodes was it about each season?
It was HBO, so that around 10. I would say 10 to 12 at the most.
So how did David Lynch do it then with Twin Peaks? For
The Exception. He's
20.
He's,
what is that? That's
exception.
like 22 fucking episodes. Is season 2 of Twin Peaks is like 22
when the return
episodes?
was like this 22 episodes. Dude, also the one 20 because he's the exception.
So that's all I was gonna say is that it's like you're sitting like I know, but it's something that it's something I just appreciated in the moment that you're sitting here saying that Westworld bit off more than they can chew, and this isn't to say I'm not trying to back you in a corner and be like, but what about? It's interesting. I just want your insight and your opinion on it that Westworld bit off more than they can chew to be able to wrap up and do nicely. But it's like David Lynch was able, I
think they bit off more than they could chew to run with the ideas they presented and tell them in a story well.
Okay.
Let me put it that way.
Okay. I got you. Because, it's like you're
so
almost
where they had cool
run out
ideas.
of ways
the
of being
robots
able
got
to,
out. What do we do with that now? Okay, we'll have them do this. And then, it gets to this. Okay, we'll have it kind of the plot go to this in the last season.
Okay.
And the last season
this
does get the really cool, like, simulated world simulations type thing. In the final season, they're cool, but really, like, they're almost really like their own little stories. And there's characters that connect to. I'm just the first.
I get it.
Casual,
no, it makes sense with what you were just saying.
If you're casual, the first one, you'll probably you might not make it through the rest of them. But if you can at least get through that first season, you're good, and you don't feel like you're missing anything important with the rest of them.
No, and it makes sense, and I'm glad the way you put it like that, because it's like, again, with your, you're coming at it and you watch it, while most people won't watch it with the brain. For some people, I'm sure Westworld ended too soon. For some people, I'm sure they wish Westworld continued. But the way you watch it and the way your brain goes with it, and you
not
see
many
it,
though, because it kind of went the viewership definitely declined.
I know.
More.
No, yeah, for sure. I'm not trying to, but I mean, I do know that in the scope of how you view it, it's like you said, it's kind of hard for them to really be able to kind of keep. Okay, well, what do you do with it now? Now you've introduced this, you kind of wrapped up.
I believe it can be done. And
no,
I
I'm
just
not
think it's a difficult task.
That's
and
all I was saying.
They didn't pull it off.
That's something that it's just interesting that it's like the way you put it makes sense. That such a difficult task to do what they were doing, You know,
so it was cool to see him try and really cool to see that budget and everything. So it is worth watching all the seasons.
First season is
just
amazing.
like people complain about certain parts of Game of Thrones. It's still worth watching that quality of television.
No, for sure. Okay, so I think these two are gonna kind of fall in the same vein.
The main vein.
My third vein. Westworld is the one I just said, and I think this one's going to maybe potentially fall into the same vein but have an opposite problem. I think your knock for it is going to be the opposite. First thing that comes to mind, Lost.
Misunderstood.
Okay. That's not what I was expecting you to say. What misunderstood how? How is Lost misunderstood?
Because I am a fan of
That's Allie's
Lost.
favorite show.
Yeah, I love it. Now, I remember watching it when it was
time.
airing. I remember watching the finale with friends at my play. Like a couple that actually, some girls, none of my actual male friends were into it. But I didn't watch much TV then. But that was a show that I did watch. I got into. The ending was, like any show, what that show did and presented. They definitely bit off. It's another good example because it starts really strong, and they literally had all these plot elements and threads that were just completely left unanswered. Or one season would introduce some crazy thing in an episode, and you'd be thinking it's gonna be brought up or relevant later on, and it's not even mentioned or remotely hinted at. Like to where it's like a lot of interesting, crazy stuff happened, and a lot of that crazy stuff wasn't resolved, and so that
addressed.
That was a kind of a knock against it, understandably, especially because, but at the end of it, for me, it kind of comes down to the whole in the whole show is the journey being, it's the journey being better than destination. It's because a lot of people were very upset or confused about the ending because it kind of, I feel like, was what a lot of people were guessing it to be, but at the same time, I don't think it exactly was.
Okay.
And I am actually a fan of the ending. I really do like what they did. And Damon Lindelof and J.J. Abrams, and he's the name that people think about most, but Damon Lindelof, I believe, would be responsible for more of the writing that's for most of the show. And he's one of the guys who's created some of my other favorite shows like Leftovers, and he did that Watchmen reboot, and he did Miss Davis, and so misunderstood. I think for me, I just say that because based on the ending, and what people interpreted it as.
First thing that comes to mind, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get a quick one,
quickie
out of the way before I get into a not so quick one.
Nosferatu.
Yes.
Not so Ferrat. Okay.
No, where did it just go? I know I had it made here on a list.
They're listening. They don't want us to talk about this. We must find it.
Which one was next? Where did it just go?
Michael.
Because this one I was gonna, the one after this is, I know it's gonna be a little bit too long, but I'm like, I figured
I'll do my best to give shorter answers.
No, I know your answers are fine. I think your answers should tell a story. They tell their own story. And I think that they should, your answers should be as long as I'll cut you off when I feel like they go too long. When the people are getting what they need to get from it.
Yes.
Where in the fuck was the next one? It was in my head. That's why I had it in my mind.
Head.
So Lost was the one I just asked you about.
That's true.
This is the quick one. First thing that comes to mind, X-Files. I feel like this would be, because it's a more popular
off-putting intro.
Off-putting intro. Really? It's funny you say that because me and Crane both talked about it, and he said that he used to like it. It still kind of like gives him chills when he hears the intro, and he remembers like leaving the room and shit. Like when it would come on, he didn't even want to be in the fucking room when the intro would come on. And how like that, like when his mom, because his mom loved it. His mom's a huge sci-fi nerd. Like,
I didn't watch it as a kid. I got into it as an adult.
Oh yeah, same here. And but I was the same way, where it was like my aunt would watch it, and I would hear it, and I'd be like, "Fuck, dude, I'm out." Like when I heard MASH, dude,
MASH is the other thing I was thinking. But for you, like MASH had the same effect intro for me.
For me, like, MASH had the inviting. I'm staying up late. I'm watching fucking MASH. I'm watching MASH. That's what
At least
I was
for
excited.
People I've met, you're the outlier.
They're going to talk shit to
maybe
Radar.
There's more people like you.
Radar's going to get shit talked to him. I love it.
If you haven't gone back to, was it our first season? We do a
love
bit of a MASH deep dive.
I'm a big MASH fan.
Check
big
season
MASH
1.
guy. Okay, so first thing that comes to mind, take as long as you like, explaining whatever, The Expanse.
Maybe some of the best hard science fiction of the more modern TV era on the show. But since it's come out, there's been other things, but it started maybe 7-8 years ago. So at that point in time, I feel like it really did some fascinating hard sci-fi that was so good that I've actually gone and read the books it was based on.
Okay.
And that's actually there's a dual authors that wrote the Expanse novels. They were actually they worked under George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones, so a lot of people would kind of think of the depth and richness of the stories done in space. I feel like they could tell that they learned underneath someone who did that similar thing, but in the realm of, night, whatever realm you want to call dark, historic fantasy that George R.R. Martin did with Game of Thrones. So a lot of people kind of, but that's like a loose way to putting it. But I feel like amazing hard sci-fi sprawling and it's just just some of the ways it presents the ideas of the way that we actually expand through space. Like it kind of touches on how it even gets to the point of it makes us more surrealistic because so many shows and things and movies even, and it's just
there's a lot of it that
space travel is possible. But
but there's a lot of it they skip over in these other things where it's like, beam me up, Scotty, and it's just like boom, boom, and then he's there, and you're like, oh yeah, they have the teleportation.
They've got quantum,
but it's like,
or whatever.
like you said, they skip over the well, how do they combat the effects that it has on a body?
Yeah.
Like when you're hyper jumping or hyper, warping through space. Like
you did watch
we know how
Expanse, right?
Yes, and it's like we know how
the juice.
We know how fucking
the
gravity affects a person, and we know that like a person could only withstand so much G forces before passing out.
Yeah.
So in The Expanse, it actually they have an explanation for. They've come up with something for how human beings could still withstand hyper warping and jumping through time, and
and then this is like extremely
which is cool. So
fast speeds.
And you're saying that's what makes it kind of
on top
cooler
of being,
in a sense.
I feel like an amazing story of just connecting humanity and the idea of us having colonization or just going, searching out to the galaxy universe and not coming across aliens or anything. Like in the show, you don't have aliens really in the traditional sense, which it's kind of like you think the Fermi paradox and things, to where it's if there was other intelligent life, they would have discovered each other. But then I come to Dark Force theory. It's like we'd be hiding. But either way, so it's cool because now a bunch of aliens and stuff. It's just mankind and the whole political aspect of being Mars colonizing, and that the whole political ideologies that brought up, and it dealt with like how hardworking they were and actually building that place, and there's so many elements and components to the writing that is so great and just deals with so many different parts of just the way kind of people and civilizations seem to work and think, and especially politics and factions. In the Belters, people born in space, they were more long, and they couldn't stand being on planets that long because they grew up in space, so their bones were weaker, and so they would. And they would be longer because their bones are outstretched, and all these things that are just part of the writing and the story. So it's just really cool.
So that was just another layer for what made it cool for you, was how they were,
and that's not even the story, right? So that's what's cool.
And so to stay on The Expanse, another thing I wanted to ask about it, because I know how it's you really do like it and enjoy it, and I wanted to ask. Was it because it's only like 3-4 seasons, right? 2? Was it
because it was on Sci-Fi? It got canceled, but Amazon, I believe, because Bezos, was a big enough fan, they picked it back up for like the final 3 seasons, I think. So there's 5 or 6 seasons, I think, but they kind of got shorter and shorter after Amazon picked them up.
And I say I've watched it, I haven't finished it. I've seen the first like 2 seasons. I understand. I know, but I
I'm glad you watched those. I'm glad you watched those.
What happened? I watched the first two, but it was in the middle of in tandem watching Twin Peaks,
okay,
and I had to prioritize that because y'all wanted me to hurry up and finish Twin Peaks, so we could, yeah. But okay, so one of the things I wanted to ask you about The Expanse is, do you feel like, because you said that it was one of the first modern ones to do like good ones with like hard.
Unaware. I'm sure there are other ones that have.
No. Yeah. So I'm not trying to like get you nailed down on that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there could be ones that you're not familiar with that maybe came out that did it. But
seen that
do you feel like any of it was could compete with, or it was on par with, I guess, maybe some of those prior ones I mentioned, like for instance, a Star Trek or a Babylon 5.
Yeah, no, I feel like I feel like they're up there in the echelon of exquisite sci-fi television that it's hopefully if anyone has any interest, even without interest in sci-fi, I think the quality of television is so good that you should at least give it a shot, and just because I feel like it's really just nailing it.
No, The Expanse is really, it's quite incredible. I
the
really
Rocinante, man, that ship is so cool.
I really do enjoy like just
who is the bald-headed character and everything. Amos,
yeah, I loved Amos's character,
and all that on top of just such well fleshed out written characters. And like I said, think of it is based on these books, and the authors are actually active in the creating of the show. So it's that the writers of these books are involved with the actual show too. So it kind of it has that depth to it.
All right, I'm gonna ask you about another one. I think I know sort of. I actually don't really know. I don't know this side of it. First thing that comes to mind, Dark. Because technically it is in the sci-fi.
Mesmerizing? Maybe?
Mesmerizing. But good way of putting it. Because that's one that I've watched cover to cover. And that is a good way to put it. Mesmerizing.
Heavy.
Mesmerizing is a great way to put it because it really does. It's like,
and like
once
heavy.
You get, really fucking heavy.
Like it's a daunting, but
dude.
If you actually get into this show, you actually do, and you don't have anything else going on. You go like you're going to theater. You want to watch this show, be able to have the sound up loud, literally have the room dark.
Dude, yes.
If you're up for just a mind of a show that, again, like I'd go online and the charts and graphs and diagrams of people charting, mapping things out because you watch it and you understand, but you just actually see the connecting threads, and the way it presents time travel is up there with the most potentially, if I had to pick, like if I were to rank what I think or realistic quote unquote time travel, it would be as high up there as like a potential way to think that was happening. I would have to agree. Yeah. Which I don't believe at all that's possible, but if I had to, whatever I've seen, not that I know anything, that would be up there with I think, okay, that seems the closest thing, or one of the closest things. That and that Primer movie.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's like that. Dark is obviously, that I love it. Everybody knows I love the show, but while we're on the subject, we won't go too much further on it. It
definitely
really is.
I'm glad you snuck that in there.
Yeah, I was like, because I'm like, I'm getting your knee-jerk reaction.
It's not actually a show, but Tubi.
Tubi. Oh,
what are your thoughts? Man, it's all over the place.
Satisfying. It's groundbreaking.
It's everything all the time, all at once.
Hang on, let me see. I've got some more. Okay, this is one that should be asked. Battlestar Galactica. First thing that comes to mind.
Original or reboot? Probably the reboot.
The original.
Oh, from the 70s?
Or no, the reboot.
Again,
the reboot.
Yeah.
The early,
which I know the answer, but like maybe that's the question. That if I wonder how many people know that much that there was a 70s show.
Original, yes.
Yeah, there was only a season or two, and but for me, makes Mass Effect. And this is just a personal thing because in the video game, if people are gamers at all, there's the Mass Effect video game. It was an Xbox game. There's been 4 of them, I think, over the span of like the different console generations. But I think it was about the 360 had the first one, I believe. But it was literally so there'd be cutscenes in the game that were very cinematic, and it was like you're watching a show at different times, and the filming it had this very distinct film style in the game I'm talking about. And I hadn't actually watched all of Battlestar at this point when I played the game. I watched Battlestar some years later, and I was watching the way Battlestar was filmed, and it has very distinct, unique film style that's honestly, I think, nauseating for some people. It has
Battlestar?
a lot. It has a lot of active camera movements.
Okay,
it's a very active camera.
So it's like,
and it's kind of in your face, and it's like jumpy. A lot of jumpy active camera movements are just the DNA of how it was shot and filmed, which it has this whole own feel to it on top of a really fascinating story of, basically what I guess kind of us having to be on the run from robots or machines of our own creation. So it has a lot of interesting, really kind of quote unquote relevant, concepts and ideas of, humanity on the run. And that's how it starts, is like, we're literally like the last remnant of humanity on this ship that only was able to make it away because it had some dated technology, because it was almost like, it was like an older ship and everything else had been updated and stuff to where the Cylons, the race or whatever that we created could easily stop them and basically disable. But yeah, it's so good. Don't get me going, man.
No, yeah.
Edward James Olmos is, man, it's just his character is I guess general or whatever he was left. And the mom from Donnie Darko is the president in that show. She does an amazing job, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, wait. Oh, I didn't know that was her. I didn't realize that.
Very powerful performances from
let's
these.
Let's see, there was a couple others. There's a couple others I wanted to get your opinion on. Where are they? Did you ever see, and this is one I don't even know if you saw because I know a lot of them you've seen. Did you ever see Invasion? It was an ABC one. It actually, it's funny you said Tubi. It's on Tubi.
If I didn't see it, I think I started it. I remember it has got the blonde chick that was on the cover. I don't think I got that far on it. And actually, it's funny bringing it up. I actually think I might have watched that with my dad recently. Like, we're going back and like...
That's it.
Yeah.
No. Three Body Problem. First thing that comes to mind. You said watching it with my dad. That reminded me of the one I wanted to ask you. Because it's Matthew's Guide to
the
Sci-Fi.
Heaviest, the hardest of sci-fi.
The hardest? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that
Expanse was hard sci-fi. I feel like this is
and by
the
hard
heaviest,
sci-fi,
the most dense, heavy metal. Like the author of it was like an actual either physicist or this Chinese author. It's so scientific and math, like grounded in ideas that it presents. A lot of it. There's a lot of scientific and mathematic, actual fundamental, I guess, understanding principles that are in it and are a big part of it all, and a lot of what is woven throughout the narrative. So that's the book, right? The show, it really comes down to a lot of people who read the books. I feel like it's easy for them to have been really disappointed in the show, but I watch it knowing that there was a show that it was said that it'd be impossible to make this a good show because of how dense and just crazy it is, to where to try and put this story into a show that the masses could get into and appreciate, very difficult task.
So
the D.B. Benioff, is one of the only, I think, shows that the showrunners, that adapted Game of Thrones, what D.B. Weiss and Benioff actually have gotten done. I know they were like signed up by Netflix for all these different whatever projects. I think that so far this is the only one that's actually come to fruition, I think.
So I guess this would be an interesting...
But watch the Chinese version.
Okay, watch the Chinese version of Three Body Problem.
Yes.
And
watch both,
one thing I was going to say is that it's like, we can keep talking about Three Body Problem because I think if you have more you want to say on that, you should cover it. But
I don't
hang on. But so this could be a fun way of potentially coming up with a way of categorizing them for people to be able to maybe get a better feel of what their brand of sci-fi might be, or Because again, I think that just so you, because I haven't even necessarily explained all this to you really, but
No.
I think it's cool of being able to kind of give people almost a guide in figuring out, you know, maybe you're not into sci-fi or you've wanted to watch it, there's something about it you like, but every time you turn one on, you can't really get into it or whatever. And I think it'd be cool if we can, you know, with as much of it as you've seen, if I could, you know, ask you some of these questions and figure out, like, for instance, okay, so just based off of us talking this, like some of the two most vexing ones, or like you said, or the ones that would, you know, vex somebody the most or cause someone to ponder or whatever the most would be maybe Three Body Problem, Dark.
Yes.
Those two. The other ones, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but you're judging off your reaction to, it seems like those two are going to be ones that it's like are not necessarily super casual.
Yeah.
Like you need to go into it with it's like there's so much of it you can't miss.
In Three Body Problem, I think it's an effort that's intended to try and capture someone, because it was a huge production, but like
in
very
China, right? Yes,
that's why the Chinese, but the American one that was on Netflix.
Okay,
it's very super expensive, so they definitely wanted to make a product that could capture a wide audience. But even so, that's why it's like a weird. The Netflix version, I think they made it to where it'd be easy enough to get into,
more palatable.
And for most people who haven't read the book. Yeah, I don't know how that feel. Like, you haven't watched it, have you?
No, and I've started watching it. I started watching Three Body Problem
because it really, I feel like, creates, if aliens were to, in any kind of sense, invade what would be the most realistic scenario that explains how that came about.
Okay, so if you had to rank far, if you would rank.
And it brings up dark force theory, all this that I casually mentioned, Fermi paradox.
That's
Those are
true.
factors in the whole, you know, principles of the show, you know.
So if we had to come up with a Scoville rating
for
your sci-fi, so far, where would you rank? So Three Body Problem
Scoville
would be
being like just the
hot.
quality of how sci-fi it is.
Pungent. How pungent, because in Scoville,
Three
just
Body
for those of y'all
Problem
that may
and
not
Dark,
know,
for
Matthew
sure.
is a huge salsa fan.
Heaps.
Hot sauce.
Yeah.
He loves hot sauce. And hot sauce is measured on a level of Scovilles.
Yes.
And so they have a Scoville rating of 1 million, which will burn your butthole.
It'll do damage to your bare
body.
fingers.
Yes. It's like when you have Scoville ratings that are so high, you're supposed to use like a dropper. Drop in like in a
and
pot
I'll own
of
the
chili.
stuff, and I'll be careful about even the remnant of, like, almost wanting to handle the
touching
gloves,
something else.
just because if you get the remnant of residue in your hands, your fingers will be fine, right?
But you'll
But
touch
I've gone to
something.
the bathroom before and not realizing it, and I felt like my pants were on fire.
Yeah.
From the
Oh, I
skin that's
bet.
not so
rough. So that's what the Scoville rating is. So we'll say Star Trek on a Scoville palatable. How palatable is it for the average casual viewer? I feel like it's more of a.
I feel like it's going to be one of the
Mild
most
to hot.
versions.
Mild to hot.
So,
Mild to hot.
Man, I'm trying to. So it's really nerdy. It's not as difficult conceptually, but it does present a lot of things that you just don't understand. You just kind of, it's built in just the narrative. So I would say like medium heat.
Medium.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Babylon 5? Medium as well? You say that fall in the...
Yeah, and I just don't want the medium to be at all
No.
taken for quality, but just like how
medium of
sci-fi
how exactly.
it
No, because we're
is,
talking
and,
quality.
like, a
these are
confusing
all
nature.
All of these that have
Yeah.
been mentioned so far
Yeah.
would rank in your top. Would rank in your like,
yeah, that's because
we're not
fade away.
we're not
Think of it
limiting
versus
This
I
isn't-
can grasp it versus I can't even understand.
This isn't and this isn't a. There can be. I've already mentioned a handful. I might do another episode where I mention 10 more.
Yeah.
So this isn't meant necessarily. We're not ranking them right now.
Yeah.
And all the ones I've mentioned have been probably some of the more compelling sci-fi.
Yeah, these
stuff,
are ones
like
I absolutely
Westworld, Dark,
happen to
Three-Body
ask
Problem
for shows that are very high in my regard.
Yes.
So yeah. It's so within them being all shows I was to rank
on your level. Yeah,
I gotcha.
Yes, so they're all
okay.
in high regard to you. We understand.
We're on the same wavelength.
But yes, all of the Scoville rating idea is meant to be a guide for people to understand. Okay, this one's super dense. This one's really. This one's not so palatable to the casual observer. So. Battlestar Galactica. Again, you said maybe.
So we're going like a 1 to 10. Do you want to make it easy to go 1 to 10?
Sure.
Okay, Scoville. So like you said, motion. That's like a weird honestly, caveat.
Yeah,
worth noting that
is a weird caveat.
It makes me sad, and it's not the viewer's fault, but the creators. I guess obviously they did that intentionally. And
but
actually, there's a connecting thread between that and Deep Space Nine. The writer who did Deep Space Nine, he's done. Yeah, maybe just distracted. Battlestar, like a 7. No, I'll say a 6.
A 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one that we're not even gonna. I can't. I'm gonna jump around. You can't rate this one yet.
Okay.
This is one I want your opinion. We'll wait, see if somebody comes in.
I think this might have just been a dog.
But first thing that comes to mind, devs. Again, for those who couldn't understand what I just said, I asked him first thing that comes to mind for a show called Devs. DEVS.
Nobody knows about it.
First thing that comes to mind is
it's kind of outside of the show. The show, if I'm just thinking the show itself.
First thing that comes to mind when I ask you devs.
Like
this is
reality questioning, maybe, like, or just questioning the nature of existence.
Thought-provoking.
Incredibly thought-provoking and incredibly realistic. Incredibly, there's nothing that you can't say that I can't say that I'm not making you do this type thing.
That is true. It is true. It is realistic on that level of like
simulation theory.
Yes, and you don't need a spaceship. This doesn't involve space travel. This doesn't involve hyper warping. This is
more like
aliens.
Silicon Valley. What are these nuts up to?
Yes.
And what
are people that are playing around with these computers and sims and
creating
stuff,
simulations of the real world, which we're doing right now.
Yep.
The Omniverse and other people, but NVIDIA, that's how they're training actual robots is in 3D replications of the world in the most realistic fashion. And just that idea and run with it.
So, yeah. Devs. Okay.
Alex Garland, too. People don't know. That was like,
Yeah, talk more about it if you'd like. I just brought it up because, it was one I thought about. That might be one of the last ones I mentioned for the night.
That within the last 4 or 5 years, and it wasn't promoted a lot, and Alex Garland is behind it, and if that means people, if they want to know, that they can look into it, but it's really mute and almost has it also has a heavy kind of depressing feel to it, but not near as heavy and depressing as Dark.
Okay.
But for me, this is a very serious, such a serious, and the whole,
So I may or may not have mentioned.
Why so serious?
I may or may not have already mentioned the answer to what I'm about to ask this question. If answer however you'd like, whatever. If I've mentioned it, cool. If not, if it's something I haven't mentioned, whatever. What would you, if you had to say one, or if you had to pick one, what do you, or obviously you have to pick one.
Yeah.
But what would be the most, almost, I guess you could say, if you were going to guide somebody, almost the most quintessential, again, it could have been one I've asked you, maybe one I haven't. What's the most quintessential sci-fi that it's like a must-watch? If you're going to be a sci-fi fan and you want to watch sci-fi, or maybe you want to call yourself a sci-fi fan, what do you feel like? Again, to narrow the question down,
I already know the answer.
If you want to call yourself a sci-fi fan and you want to get into the genre, what do you think is a must-watch for anybody who wants to be a
new entrant
fan?
Or somebody who
just anybody who wants to be, again, either call yourself a fan, or if you want to seriously get into watching sci-fi.
This ain't easy. Here, I got an answer for you.
What is it?
Raised by Wolves.
Raised by Wolves. Okay.
Because I could have picked any one of those, but I wanted to pick this one. Because,
why is that?
Because you probably haven't even heard of it.
I hadn't even mentioned it.
Yeah, I hadn't even mentioned it, hadn't heard of it, and so it wasn't even on your radar.
No.
And I know for me, it's
I think I may have heard you play a video of it one. You played a
Yeah.
trailer one night. I
I
think.
might have, but
I think
it's out. It's been out within the last 4 years, maybe. There's only 2 seasons. It was actually on the HBO Max, and it's really as Ridley Scott was like the creator of it, or like a creator behind, like one of the main producers, people behind it, who's known for Alien and a lot of other things, but it was thought provoking and mind explosion, just what WTF moments, but in ways that I've never seen. Ideas presented, ideas that I don't even know if I can make sense of them. I can try to, but it's like it's maybe one of the most insane but incredibly serious and science fiction shows with and is out within the last 5 years, and it's the production, all this shit is on that whole cinematic level stuff Ridley Scott, and it's almost like you'll get through it, and it didn't get to it. It ended after 2 seasons, and I know they didn't there's definitely more to the story that didn't get answered, but it's the most WTF stuff. Like, what the is happening? What am I looking at in the world of sci-fi? It actually literally. I used to remember watching an episode when it came out, and it was really cool because one of my best longtime friends, Hamilton, who randomly hit we'll text sporadically, but I think he literally messaged me, and I don't know if I was about to message him or as I was watching it, because he was watching it, and we didn't even talk that much, but he knows I like sci-fi, and he was just talking about how just nuts and thought-provoking the ideas the show presents in a way that's almost like, what? This, I've not seen anything like this.
Yeah.
I've not seen anything like this
dealing
with man and AI to an extent.
Man and AI to an extent. Yeah.
And dude, the ideas, dude. I'm glad to, dude. It's freaking nuts, man.
And again, this is Matthew's guide to sci-fi, but being honed down to the sense of TV shows, not movies.
Oh yeah. Don't think there aren't movies.
This is TV shows. Movies are not to be considered, because this is, I think that the TV show thing is almost harder to figure out than the sci-fi movie thing is like kind of easy in the sense, because you can go watch them. You could watch a handful of sci-fi movies in a day.
You're not committing to like a potentially multiple season type
but
thing.
With these TV shows, it's multiple seasons, and so you kind of want to know. I've always at least been curious to know which ones are most important in the sense of these sci-fis, like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Stargate SG-1, any of the other number of ones that I mentioned. It's like always wondering, Oh, did you ever watch the show Eureka?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? That was a sci-fi, though, wasn't it?
I think it probably would have been categorized as that.
There was that, and there was another show that came out. I don't think it was Eureka, but
it was the Dome or the 100 or something?
No, it was about like a small town, though. I think. It was about like the small town that had something to do with time travel. That wasn't Eureka, was it?
I think Eureka, he was like a...
That was a dude who had like clairvoyance or some weird shit,
something
right?
like that.
Okay, that's not. No, there was another one I remember watching that my aunt liked when I was a kid that only lasted like a season or two, but it was about this like town.
Maybe Under the Dome.
It could have been some weird shit that was in like a snow globe or some shit. Who the fuck knows? That was their reality.
That's something.
But it was weird.
Yeah.
I'll find it. I'll figure it out.
Search Under the Dome first to see if that might be it.
You know what? Fuck it. I was going to wait and do this on another episode and say Matthew's Guide to Sci-Fi Part 2, but I'm going to ask you last 2 questions. First thing that comes to mind, Prisoner.
Oh. The Dennis Villanueva film with the...
No. The Prisoner.
Oh, the...
TV show. Sci-fi, because that's sci-fi-ish.
Yeah, man. I don't even know if I'd categorize...
First thing comes to mind. That's all.
First thing that comes to mind.
First thing
be
comes
seeing
to mind.
you.
Be seeing you.
Be seeing you.
That's our tagline. That came from that show. That's
yeah. Well, I like the. I don't know if I throw on too much shows that were really like a foundation, at least seemed at least maybe to be what was a mainstream initial presentation of a potential template or a way stories and narratives can be done or told. I feel like there's a lot of that in those is it either early 70s or late 60s, I forget, but it's like that era, and I feel like it was going back, and I would be searching for what are some of the most important shows throughout all time that are worth watching. If you like Twin Peaks and Lost and all this stuff, and I would see that come up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. And yeah, if it makes me think of Lost, it makes me think of shows that just present a person in a situation where the guy's just every episode he's literally just trying to escape from his island of just insanity that's kind of rooted in the ideas of some espionage and spy to where, I know it's in that era.
It's like levels of James Bond.
He's he's like a Patrick McGugan, which I think if he was the original Man from U.N.C.L.E. maybe, to where, and he's such a badass in that role, to where, and it's just him, like the ultimate.
Really
it makes me think of Dale Cooper, and that's what I've said before. I feel like almost Dale Cooper is, for me, a direct inspiration of this guy, just how badass and just upright and virtuous and absolute good that he is in this situation.
It almost sounds like the word I'm going to give for that one, and I might go back and later deem my own terms. I wasn't going to say puzzle, but foundational.
Yes, foundational.
Foundational.
Yes.
It sounds like a foundational type of film, or not film,
like
but
a
show.
bedrock or cornerstone
Bedrock,
or something.
Cornerstone.
Yeah.
So guide stone, something that was
shining the North
Star.
It
more or less. So you do feel like, in a sense, it could have. The reason it was foundational, the reason I gave it that term is based off what you're saying and stuff. It almost seems as though it could have been so thought provoking that with what they put forth, that it maybe helped propel the rest of the genre, or help. I like to think
that children or people or teenagers, adults saw that and just saw the way ideas and stories are presented and just questions. And this was one where you could throw all this stuff against the wall and it didn't need to be brought back up. But that was kind of like built into just the insanity of it. And just to where I feel like kids, if any kid actually did see that, I'd like to think if they went on to make movies that if they liked it, then it's an inspiration without them even knowing it. You know,
yeah, it had to have been an influence.
Yeah.
Okay. First thing that comes
James Bond on acid, maybe too.
Dang, that is James Bond on acid is a really good way of putting that. That is very, because that's like what I was thinking. I'm like, that's another. All right, first thing that comes to mind for the last one for the night: Twin Peaks. I was gonna save these two. I was gonna save Prisoner and Twin Peaks for another episode. First thing that comes to mind.
Genre transcending. I don't know. It's
because technically I believe it would be
it's
considered
without
under Sci-Fi.
Without comparison.
It would be considered under Sci-Fi.
It'd probably have to be, but
if
again,
not sci-fi,
without
drama,
comparison,
thriller,
I feel like there's nothing in the conversation with it. Not to say that things aren't potentially equally as good.
No, but
it's
that
like
is a
I
good
can't
point.
even compare anything else
point.
to it to
that
be like,
oh,
these are two really good shows that do this. This is a show that's done something that people have tried to mimic, but have the closest thing I've maybe seen to something that would put in the same field genre of it would be Outer Range, that came out in the last couple of years on Amazon, and it's really good, and I feel like there's things that did that I'm like, I can see this is almost like a Yellowstone meets Twin Peaks, and it kind of is, and it's done really well, and the biggest man in Hollywood's in it.
So Twin Peaks is technically a sci-fi, and what came to your mind is genre transcendent.
Yeah, without
where
comparison,
it's one of those things where, so I'm asking you all again, this is Matthew's Guide to Sci-Fi, but I asked you what the first thing that came to mind when I said Twin Peaks was, and you couldn't even necessarily just bolt it down to it being sci-fi. I thought it was interesting that you said genre transcending, that it's like it's almost
it really
a must
does.
watch.
You watch an episode and it's almost slapstick comedy. You watch one and you feel like you're almost watching a horror. You watch one and you're watching something,
and they're
that's
all
sci-fi-ish.
like an hour and a half.
Well, the original stuff, the original first two
I love
seasons on ABC were 45 minutes. There was
love
serialized television. It was the return that was the one that he did in 2017, where that Dougie and everything. Those were like a solid hour each, like Showtime and stuff. But yeah, man. Well, let's I gotta
take a quick break. I need to use the restroom.
You know what, that makes
but then
too.
we'll come back to our next segment.
A little topic box fun.
Topic box. Okay. And we have not gone anywhere.
Like always. We're always here.
Which brings us, we hope you guys enjoyed Matthew's Guide to Sci-Fi. There's going to be more of that. That's more than likely going to be, for the most part, a question answer.
That aren't sci-fi, where it's
That's true.
Mikey's Guide to
something.
I'm thinking maybe horror, but we'll see. We'll see.
I love horrors.
It's a beautiful dichotomy or whatever, because something I've never really been that interested in. So I'm excited for next week.
So we'll have this. This will be a cool little reoccurring thing, but we'll be definitely getting back to the sci-fi, and because I do think that we need a deeper dive on some of these sci-fis, and perhaps maybe I'll go watch one of these.
I'll go deep
and I'll have to have explanation on some of these.
And he can be like, Matt was way off. Okay, this was some bullshit. Star Wars is actually way better than I remember.
All right, so let's get to this topic suggestions.
Yep. The old topic suggestion box.
This box has been popping, dude. This is
a popping box.
I've been more excited about this than
all right, let's check the emails
most anything
here.
I got going on.
So this first one is from Paco Smackins.
Paco Smackins?
And what is they sent 10. We'll just do this first one.
Okay.
What's your go-to guilty pleasure? Share funny or unexpected things you secretly enjoy.
Oh, secretly.
Because I know it's like I'm 40 now, so I'm in the age where a lot of stuff I just own it. I don't do much.
I secretly enjoy taking pictures of myself in the woods in lingerie. It's like, wait a minute,
man.
that's
the
BTK
friendly version. Trust me.
That's an interesting question. What's your go-to guilty pleasure? So guilty. I mean, I guess I would say.
Okay.
Because guilty is like something people don't know about. I was going to say I sing in the shower, but people that was in the house,
I feel like it needs to be something that you enjoy, that
Yeah.
you consume in a sense. That it's almost like, and mine is going to be kind of easy. I feel like easy, and it ties right in. Almost like a show you might be embarrassed to know people watched or something.
Okay.
So my wife has had whatever random shows she has on sometimes, like.
I got it.
Gilmore Girls, and I would never watch it on my own, but she would fall asleep and she has it on, and I would stick up and watch the rest of the episode because I kind of felt like I was enjoying it.
You're like,
but I would never do it on my own. But
but when it was on, you're like, you stuck around.
I didn't change the channel.
And you're like, I need to figure out what's going on. Does Luke really love Lorelai?
I might have wanted to slap these women the whole time.
Yeah.
But I kept watching them.
You're like wondering what happened with Suki.
Yeah, that's dark.
Yeah, I guess I would have to say guilty pleasure. I do enjoy watching Midsummer Murder.
Wait, is that British one?
Yeah.
It's like
the British
it's like
detective
20,
show.
30 seasons. It's like forever.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. I just know
Midsummer Murder or whatever. Yeah.
Is that like an old person show or something?
Yeah, my aunt and grandma watched it.
It's like Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, and it's like tracking yeah, dude,
it's pretty
that's my guilty pleasure.
Fair.
Yeah,
there
absolutely. But I mean it's soothing.
Exactly.
Some of the stories are compelling.
Again, it is like watching Murder, She Wrote or something.
Yeah, some of the stories
Angela
are compelling.
Lansbury. No one knows that is.
There you go.
Well, Brandon Jones does. Let's see.
Isn't she the girl from Third Rock from the Sun?
Yeah.
Let's
see. Okay, who we got here?
That was already.
That was the Paco Smack. Okay, here. Oh, we got Bird again. It's nice to see Bird submitting.
Little Bird.
So, what is a hidden talent or unusual skill that you have? If you could instantly learn any skill or talent. Wait, so what's one that we have, and then is Okay, so what's one we have, and if we could learn one we don't have, what would it be?
Skill or talent? I don't know if you could call either one of these a skill. I can blow bubbles with my with my tongue, like with I guess saliva. I can use saliva to blow bubbles, and I can put my leg behind my head.
Okay, mine. I can make
fart noises with your
my hands.
Yeah. And you have a great Bob Dylan impression. Oh, you can force farts?
The way I can force burps, and whenever I was young, I figured out a way to contort my body to actually
create a fart.
It's disgusting.
It sounds like you have to suck air in.
I learned how to the weird position as a child to do that, and it was it's gross. I had to fart off at camp once with me and this other kid because he could do it in a different position altogether. I don't know. We just kept going back and forth. It was like it's late at night. Everyone's in their bunks, and
you just kept farting.
It's just so disgusting. But it was literally, dude. Yeah, I don't need.
Okay, so then what skill would I want to have or talent? What skill or talent? I would want to have the skill or talent to. I think it'd be a skill to hypnotize people, like energy vampire. I'm almost
okay. Legitimate hypnosis.
Yes, that would be my skill. I'd like to be able to have is to be able to hypnotize someone.
Mine would be dancing.
Dancing. Oh fuck, that's a good skill.
Like I really have come to.
I could have said
dancing
anything
very highly,
and
I really think
I could have said anything.
With all the AI stuff I talk about,
bow and
things
arrow.
about being human, I feel like dancing is one of the most humanistic, artistic, emotional expressions that we have.
That's true.
It's really quite beautiful.
That is true.
There we go. And so, what's the next one?
Art Nord? Is Art Nord back?
That Art Nord again? I don't want to skip one, so that's okay. So Art Nord. Okay. If aliens landed on Earth, what's the first thing you'd show them, and why?
I mean,
Twin Peaks. Let's see.
Well. Okay.
It would for me. It would have to be something funny. It would have to be something that shows somehow is a representation of the value of humanity and what we might have to offer that's unique or different than. Because I don't know if they'd be a threat or not. Who knows? But I'd at least like to do or show them something, that's lets them know that humans have some unique beauty to them. Because I could show them a kid or Love and Offspring, and they might have something similar. Who knows? But the idea of humor and that sort of thing, you don't. Who knows? So I'll put on Dave Chappelle. Like, well, this ain't funny to me.
Put on the Bibble episode.
I'll teach him about racism.
I think. Wow, if they landed here, what's the first thing I'd show them?
Yeah, you got to really think about this one.
Well, if they're
going to land, it's probably going to be right around where you live, and you would probably be the first person they come to.
Yeah. Well, after I showed them my dick.
A pug, dude.
No. Ooh, pug.
The power of the pug. Honestly, that because that is actually funny too, but it's not us. But we actually bred.
No, because Lily would bark at him.
Yeah, maybe not Lily. Potato. Potato.
Potato would bark too. Potato would fucking go. She'd bark too, dude. Yeah. They're nuts. They're nut jobs. They might set the vibe off weird. And the
actually,
aliens
that
would
might be the
vaporize
most
us.
threatening thing we could show them.
Yeah, dude. No, man. I think. You know what? Oh.
It's okay, buddy. You find it. Don't go forcing the situation. Don't go forcing it. Show them the last 25 seasons of Dallas Cowboys football.
I was thinking something like show them the Dez catch. Like,
was he wrong?
What do you think? What do y'all think? I mean, what do you think? Do you think Dez caught it? I mean, it looks like he caught it.
OJ Trout. Do you think he did it?
Yeah, I was gonna say like show him. You could show him some like crazy shit. You could show him like some wild shit and be like, but then again, think about it. It's like they would know about a lot of it. That's the thing. It's like
depends on what your assumptions are. You know, if what they've learned about us and what they care to learn about us. You know, if they look at us as bugs, they wouldn't care about any of our crap.
Fuck it. I'd show them how to roll a blunt.
That's probably the perfect game.
Because then they would see that, like, hey, man, I'm chill. I'm not trying to hurt y'all. I'm going to show you what. This is how my people, we come together.
Yeah.
This has brought people.
Yeah,
this has been the one
sharing
thing
a beer
I
with
know.
them, smoking a blunt.
This has been the one thing I know to have brought, while you may or may not agree with it, this has been the one thing I know to bring everybody together regardless of race, religion, political ideology,
food
football
has done
team. Food does that, but
sports do that.
Nothing quite better.
Nothing gets you high, though.
None of that
doesn't get you high.
None of that gets you stoned, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. All that you get some of that good sticky icky burning in there.
Heck yeah, man.
Like I said, you might not agree with it, but hey, man, I think I'd probably show them. I'd show them a blunt.
You'd give them a good old clan bake.
Yeah,
hot
dude.
box.
And maybe we'd get intimate.
And maybe they'd have some dank stuff they could share with you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I've had. I don't know, dude. You imagine that space weed? What if they were like
growing it on ISS?
Man, that'd be crazy. Ooh,
they have to. All the random plants and things that grow.
Oh,
that would be one to do.
Weed.
Obviously ones you can eat, and then ones you can smoke. And hemp, you can make clothes and all sorts of fun stuff out of. Apparently, I see stuff that's made with hemp. It's like I want to see the process of that's done. I believe it. I just want to know the extra process.
That is true. You know what I just randomly had the thought of? Did you ever watch that? This came out of nowhere. I don't know where we're going right now. We might be done with this.
Oh yeah, but, we didn't miss anything, did we?
I don't think so. Did you ever watch that Wild Wild Country?
No. Wait, no.
Documentary?
Yeah, I did. The one that they made fun of also on Bad Shit Country.
Now?
Yes.
Yes.
But I watched the one
where the people just moved into the town. I loved.
Netflix.
I tell you, one of the funniest. I love watching the interviews of those people in that town.
Yeah, dude,
shit was fucking hilarious, dude.
And dude,
documentary
now, man, it's
such a great job.
That is
a show
one that not enough people know about.
Dude,
and
documentary now is seriously.
It's about as genius level comedy.
First thing that comes to mind when I say documentary now.
Genius.
Fucking brilliant. Albert Einstein, light bulb.
Yeah, comedy. Albert Einstein, the smartest comedy that
theory of relativity.
It's
seriously hilarious. The way they make fun of like their ability to make fun of everything and like to the level of accuracy they do shit.
It even evolves because it kind of starts. What's great where they are kind of doing mockumentary. Take actual documentaries that have existed, and they would kind of create funny but realistic. They're done like so well, but then like later on they get to where they made up a lot of my favorite ones are even ones where they were just entire fake documentaries, not even related to another
trying
one.
To parody anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they intersperse both of them so well, dude. Like
documentary
that one with
now is amazing.
Was that the Al Capone holiday or something? And like that European finish, like town where they celebrated like this,
dude.
But it looked looked like it actually was
that
I mean they did it over there
in the cameos and that was amazing. What's his name from Reno 911 on
a ton of them, dude.
He was like, I thought I heard some popping and I was listening to this Johnny Mathis record and I looked and there wasn't nothing on the back of that record about no popping. And he was like, then I thought it sounded like somebody popping some popcorn.
Or the Blue Jean Committee.
Oh
dude.
My gosh, dude, the Blue Jean Committee. Dude. That shit with the band, that shit was hilarious, dude. Oh my god, dude.
Service.
Dude, I love the one. I think probably my favorite was the fucking was The Eye Doesn't Lie. And he kept just pulling out trail mix. And this wasn't the fun kind neither with the chocolate and the M&Ms. This was just the nuts.
The guy gets arrested.
Richie Wheatland. When he was like, when Bill Hader and dude from Parks and Parks and Rec. No, not
Fred
Parks
Armisen?
and Rec.
The
Fred
main guys,
Armistead.
the two main
Fred
guys,
and Bill Hader. Where Fred Armistead was Don Lentile. And he was he gave Richie Wheatland, he was picking him up, he gave him a ride, he hitchhiked him.
Yeah.
And Richie Wheatland put in poison. And he was like, I heard that. This is the worst thing I've ever heard. And he took it out and he threw it out the window. And Bill Hader was like, you don't mess with my poison, man. And he was like, I told myself in that moment right there, I'm going to do whatever it takes to screw this guy over. And he was like, he looked like the type of guy, he looked like whenever he talked about Don Lentile, Fred Armistead picking him up, he looked like a kind of guy that was like had a braided belt on and had a T-shirt you get on vacation or something. He was not my kind of guy.
And he just like was the most unlikable, obnoxious guy that wasn't guilty of a murder. But
no. And then later on, the cops pretty much admit that they knew that Richie Wheatland did it and that it was Don Lentile was innocent. And they were like, but I mean, well, just look at him. They hated him. And then, like, Don Lentile was like, that's really some information I'd be interested in. Do you know, like, I'm just curious. Do you know if he did it? Did he do it? Like, he's on death row for this murder he didn't do. And he's, like, wondering. Well, I'd be very interested. I'm just curious. I like to listen to music, jazz music, lots of arpeggios.
Dude, the chicken and rice one is.
Oh my gosh,
dude! Yeah,
that one and the drones one. This is how far you can spread your arms in a hallway in Mexico. Pablo Chacon's here or whatever. We're gonna try and level with him. Relate. Yeah, y'all need to. If you have not, all that to say, all of us ruining the episodes. If you want to say, laugh. Dude, documentary now on Netflix. It should still be on there.
Yeah, I hope so.
And one thing, I think I might, and maybe I'll do it. We might be able to do it now.
No, you can plug Tubi right now.
Did you? Are you serious right now? Did you know what I was going to say?
Were you really going to bring up Tubi?
I swear to you. I was literally about to bring up Tubi. I swear I was about to bring up Tubi.
Dude, we're on the
and the way you were like, no, it's cool. Man. We can bring up Tubi.
Then we can go and plug Tubi.
Well, I haven't had enough time to think about it, but I thought like it'd be cool with the amount that I talk about Tubi.
Dude,
I need to give Mikey.
It was as good. It'd be almost like, and the odds are. It's still pretty crazy.
It is,
but it's almost. I know it's
it's high. Like if
the
I would have high.
Pick 5
Mothman
random things.
Tubi. Mikey's about
but
to
dude,
say something about
that was
Mothman
pretty
or
crazy.
Tubi.
That was pretty crazy.
What I was gonna say is I should give my top
too well.
my top Tubi picks, like because I can.
But they cycle and go,
relevant.
so it would just be
That's
like what
you've
you've experienced since you've gotten there is a way to let you know.
What I'm saying, like my top Tubi picks could be because there's the Leaving Soon and the recently
So you have
added.
to tell them stuff like that's.
So
you look today,
I'm either,
you let them know it as of
well, that's
today.
what I'm saying. Like, I can either let them know the recently added good shit that's on there, or the stuff that's about to leave.
Man. You're the
because
Tubi
all
king.
I'm trying to do is get y'all to Tubi. So pull up Tubi real quick. This can be the first time.
Here we go.
And this is on the fly. I don't have a list made.
It's on the fly, and we have not received any payments from Tubi yet.
This week, I promise you, I'm going to reach out to them.
I swear,
and
if you've been getting checks.
What, from them hitting us up being like, hey,
I'd be like, I was going to split it with you. Well, actually, you're the one talking about it.
I'd be like, we'd love to partner with you.
Here's the homepage.
Go to Tubi and go to recently. No, this isn't. What the fuck?
Oh, that's not the home. What? No, that is Tubi
Go to
TV.
Recently added. Go to genre.
You don't ever
something.
go to the website like this.
Fuck no, I
you
don't.
used to the Xbox interface.
No, I have it on my like Roku. So go to. You need to go to
browse.
Yes.
Maybe under here. Okay.
Browse recently added. Leaving soon. Over. Up. Over. Down.
There we go. Okay, so first of all, they actually have things categorized in pretty fun and interesting ways.
Yes.
Like, Beyond the Scoreboard. Oh, what's that? First time? Leaving Soon. Let's go.
I think Leaving Soon is a great place to check because
jazz.
You don't want to move. You don't want to miss anything. So we'll slide down and I'll see what I think is one of the most important. Some of the most important in here.
Rob
The
Schneider's The Animal.
That's a good one.
It's got
a
really funny scene.
The Hunt. Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh yeah. I can't go wrong with him.
Keep going. Free State of Jones. If y'all didn't see that is on Tubi and is leaving soon. It's a good one.
I believe it.
Did you ever see it?
Nope.
Oh, dude, it actually is good. Krull? That seems like it's up your alley.
No.
Oh.
I mean, no. Yes,
it's a movie with Bill Goldberg. See, okay, I realized and I identified what it is about Tubi that I love so much.
The spectrum of movies you get to see.
It is the closest
Blockbuster
I can come to going to Blockbuster. It is literally the closest to the same experience I had as a kid.
I'm glad you said that.
Because where I browsed things, I didn't know what I was going to find.
Powerful and important information.
Yes.
Because
it's like a digital fucking blockbuster.
Because she was just the other day saying, and a lot of people are starting to, they miss going to the store, and people scan Netflix, and it is what it is, then you get this. But this is definitely more like a Blockbuster
This is like going
experience.
to Blockbuster. Because at Blockbuster, you saw fucking
Mikey,
you saw it. Gary Busey's Gingerbread Man was at Blockbuster. You'll see that shit on here. You're not going to see Gingerbread Man on fucking Netflix with Gary Busey.
Yeah.
Like you would see
like,
that in
see
Blockbuster.
Stuff, it's like they're not trying to promote it. They just have it.
They have it. And it's like, hey,
It's
literally this is like this is the closest you can get in modern day times to going to Blockbuster.
Dude, that's exactly it.
Charles Bronson.
Hard Times.
That's Three Ninjas leaving soon.
Look at this.
Bronson leaving soon. Click on it, see how much time it has left.
So it gives you the
It should
departure
tell you.
date?
It usually tells you like how much on the other interface it tells you. Scroll down.
It has to somewhere. Let me go back.
It was in the leaving soon area, right?
Yeah, we're still on leaving soon.
That's weird because on my interface, when you go through like Roku, it'll say like it'll have a yellow dot next to it before you click on it.
See, I'm just on the website, so
yeah,
but it still has the same movies. But yeah, it looks like you might get more value out of it.
Yeah, if you're on like a TV, look, that's a what's this?
And most people won't be looking at it the way we are.
No,
they'll be on
Bruce
their
Willis,
TVs and their control.
Blind Date.
Huh.
So yeah, man, and then
they made 6 Marines. There you go,
dude. To be just like again, I know that
it's like a warm blanket, isn't it?
Yeah, the best I can say is that the best way I can sum it up is it literally it's the closest you can get to going to like Blockbuster, because you're just Stephen King writing the bullet. By the way, if you haven't seen that movie, that is a great movie. I did like that movie. Stephen King's Riding the Bullet. Watch the trailer. Pull it up, and then we can wrap up or whatever.
It has trailers, correct?
I believe so. Go right there, click on the button. It absolutely has trailers. You just might not be able to see them on the web. No. Scroll up.
Yeah, I thought they would have trailers too.
No, they do. Because
probably
this
on
is just a website, so it's kind of probably a weird interface.
They probably put the least effort into this because this gets the least viewers.
But Ride the Bullet was an interesting one. It had what's his name, David Arquette. He was the main like guy in it. I liked it. It has it's a good movie. Or he wasn't the main guy. David Arquette was the guy in it.
Oh, not a problem, man. Where you headed?
I gotta see my mom in the hospital.
What, is she sick?
I honestly don't know what I'd do if I didn't have you.
For a man who never escaped his past.
Hey, he can change.
Nothing is more dangerous than his future.
David Arquette.
Feeling all right?
It's Christine.
You sure?
On the road home,
That didn't happen.
a choice must be made.
It's time for one of you to die.
Keep the kid.
Yours.
A soul must be saved.
Don't you want to see me before I die?
And his darkest fear
Who's it gonna be?
must be faced.
You have to decide now.
So the Bullet's the name of the roller coaster?
Ride the Bullet. Yeah, the Bullet. Yeah, that's the name of the roller coaster.
Yeah, okay. If I figured out the whole movie.
You did.
Time's a wasting.
That's all I need to know. Nothing
travels fast.
Yeah, so this could for some people maybe fall in the thing of the adaptations of Stephen King stuff, whatever.
One of his better ones, then,
but
potentially.
Maybe. I think the reason I liked it is, again, it's not the some people might not enjoy it, but I liked it because it was very like Tales from the Crypt. Tales from the Crypt
King style.
I was gonna say it's very like Tales from the Crypt / Creep Show.
Yeah.
The vibes it has. It's not, again, some of it is very cheesy almost, very campy.
But I've grown to it's grown on me again. Kind of like there's that warm blanket feel to it. It's a type. Stephen King's got his whole own. I feel like he has his own genre of horror, which is pretty cool.
It is
to where it's not gonna get generally as grotesque and modern in certain ways. It can be, I guess, if you read the book, but really, it's accessible to me. But it's still pretty like it's really they're interesting ideas, interesting stories that he tells.
I think before we to wrap up some of this talk, and then we can go wherever. I think one thing, an adaptation. This just kind of came to me, but an adaptation I'd really love to see. Of like one where it's done in a movie style, but it make it actually fucking scary and real, is take like some of the, like for instance, make like a Goosebumps,
like a
R.L. Stein,
Goosebumps?
like R.L. Stein stories, like some of his Goosebumps stories or something, like
do like a really good modern version of that.
I think that'd be cool because they did the show. They had the show
that
where
might
it was
have
like
been
a
done.
reboot.
There's so many shows made now.
Well, they had the
where
reboot. They had the reboot with homeboy from what's his name, Justin Long. Isn't that the dude from Jeepers Creepers?
Yes, it is.
He was in it. That was.
And
in
it was
the reboot.
actual
It was
Goosebumps?
good. It was Goosebumps. It was like a TV show on Netflix.
I feel like there might be something that's been made, but it's probably not Goosebumps, but something that's doing the same thing.
I was gonna say, I just think it'd be cool to where, for instance, if you ever watched the movie, or anybody out there seen the movie Trick or Treat, that movie was like, it was really good because it told a bunch of different lore stories in one. They talked about like, it was almost like the lore and the story of like, if you don't leave your, don't light a jack-o'-lantern or don't leave it lit, what happens if you don't, like, for instance, it told the stories of like werewolves. It had a segment where it told the story of vampires.
To tackle some of these same things.
I think
but
it'd be cool
in a
if they
modern
did
spin.
a Goosebump, but a Goosebump themed one, and a Goosebump like where they still did some of the monsters. Like for instance, one of the most popular stories.
Because I know that the creepypasta would be like the modern version, and they've done stuff, but. Yeah,
not just use lore, but use the old lore, but do it in modern ways. Like the one episode where the girl had the Halloween mask that she put on that she couldn't take off.
Okay, yeah,
and it like kind of haunted her, or possessed her, whatever.
Yeah, we'll
like,
have to scour just to make sure that there hasn't been something that's even in the realm of that. I'm not saying it hasn't. Yeah, they haven't done what you're saying, but I know that there's been a lot of
if they got like seal of approval from R.L. Stein, if he's still alive. I don't even know if he's still alive.
R.L. Stein. I just remember that name on those book covers.
Dude, his original was Fear Street. And I still kick myself in the ass.
Fear Street show on Netflix.
I still kick myself in the ass.
Did you like
because
that?
I did like it. It was good. But I still kick myself in the ass for getting rid of a bunch of Fear Street books that I was gifted. I let my mom get rid of them.
Yeah, I never even knew about it till the Netflix did the thing.
Yeah. But
I just saw part of the first episode. I didn't, because I don't care about horror. I don't remember if I had it on, but
that's funny.
That chick was getting her face put in the meat thing in that store. I was like, that was pretty good.
I think that's what I think is cool. It's like with, you don't like horror, but I realize that it's like you probably get the same.
I'm getting closer to getting into it than I ever.
What I was going to say, you probably get the same like dopamine hit, whatever that I get.
Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
And some of it, there's
for me,
the elevated horror is kind of crossing me over to it.
I think the reason
I
think a lot of the reason I like the horror stuff is because it's like
I want to feel afraid for once.
No, it's not just that. It's that the way that they, number one, fall's my favorite time of year. Fall, like in movies that can capture that well, and of course Halloween and all that is around that time, and so it's easy like.
Just the setting and the
setting is a big part of it for me, and also it's the setting, and also
when there's a crossover, it's like Alien and stuff. There's like the sci-fi horror crossover, so there's like a natural bloodline between those two.
Yes, yeah, and there's movies like that I love, but I just realized that in talking about it that it's like you pretty much get the same like.
I have to.
Yeah, absolutely. For us to really want to watch them that way, because it's like I love watching all things. Like, for instance, I made it a mission, and it's so. God, it's funny that I say I've made it a mission, but it's so hard. I've only watched like the fucking first two. I really do. It's like, since I'm such a fan of horror, I really do want to get through all of the Leprechaun movies. Genuinely get through them. Honestly,
I commend you on this endeavor.
Honestly, for it, because I see it as I think that the Leprechaun movies hold a place.
I mean,
I think they do.
You've watched all the Hellraisers?
I've watched the first one. I've not watched all of them.
That's one that piques my interest. Like, Steph.
Oh,
Steph's good friend
Hellraiser,
Cody
the first Hellraiser.
was really into. Dude, I need to get Cody on. I mentioned him before. He moved. He kind of messed with
You told
comedy
me
and stuff,
about
but
that.
horror is his thing, and he'd even do like do on makeup and crazy costumes. But I need to get on so y'all two can talk because he is the most horror person I know besides you.
So I'm about to skip off of something, and I'm hoping I was hoping we'd end up landing on it. We're gonna need to spin the wheel again, but I was hoping
The wheel of time
for our next movie picks.
Yes, yeah, that's the wheel of time.
A movie I love that I don't know if you ever saw, and it might be one of those things when I go back and I watch, I don't, it could have just totally been a time thing when I watched it when I was a kid. Movie I loved as a kid, and I don't know if you ever saw.
Schindler's List, yeah.
The Shadow.
Oh, the kind of superhero movie? Well, is it kind
with
of...
the Baldwin, with Alec Baldwin?
I remember, but no, I don't think I have seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude.
It does make me think of that other hero movie that came out with freaking Billy Zane in it. But it's different. But I did
You should
see
look
that one.
up, after you do the wheel, look up The Shadow or whatever. Or Shadow or whatnot. I remember I used to watch that. Debbie had recorded it for me
So
off
wait, does
of
he
TV.
does he shoot somebody in this one?
No.
No.
She recorded it for me off of TV on VHS. And I used to watch this shit. I remember there was a scene in it that used
It
to
is
trip
nice
me out.
to hear these little anecdote type things of your relationship with your aunt.
Oh yeah,
it's
dude.
Pretty cool.
She has,
We're really quite close to her.
Oh yeah, very close, very close.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Alright, so minimum, I'll just throw 50 again.
It's funny, me and her, we had a very similar taste in movies and stuff. And
I mean, she's probably kind of influential on.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's see.
No, absolutely, huge influence.
1976.
What the fuck? We got 75, 73, and 76.
Wait, we need to go through the 70s. 1976. We don't pick it. We just random generated. Should I have done that? Should I have done that on? Okay. The only reason we redo this is just so that we can actually let people see how we're doing it because I wasn't sharing it.
Okay,
so
do it again. Sure.
Just so it can be.
We can
observed.
still see. We can still go with 76.
2012.
Is that it, or are we doing 76?
Okay, we'll do 76, but that was letting people know that's how we did it.
I agree.
So, but we'll do 76.
Yeah. Might as well stay back in time.
1976.
I think it is funny that we're sticking to the 70s. Look
I'm
up
glad
the
because we
preview
freaking talked about all the movies from 2000,
I know, it is nice
Actually,
to talk
I
about
was supposed
70s.
to cut it off at 2000. But I messed up by putting 2025.
That is true, but it's okay. It didn't go past, so you can still cut her off at 2000.
Yeah, I mean, last week we really just shat on it.
Check out the
that trailer.
That trailer for the Shadow.
Don't worry, I know you want to see it.
And then we could give Rex and get out of here.
It sounds good. 19. I was making. I just want to remember the name of that Billy Zane movie.
Action Adventure.
What was the name of that Billy Zane movie? He had the little skull ring.
The skull or whatever.
But it wasn't the skull.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Your motherfucker wore purple.
Consumed
Yes.
by evil.
For as long as you can remember,
It was actually not
you
bad.
struggled against your own black heart.
Billy Zane, cool guy.
Shoot through him.
Every man pays a price for redemption.
I'm not looking for redemption.
You have no choice. But I will teach you to use your black shadow to fight evil.
The production almost looks better than I expected.
The Shadow.
I didn't see anything. I swear.
The cement shoes.
Who's there?
Did you
Is this Dark Man?
No, it's Shadow.
I know. No, it's the Shadow. you just typed it in. What? How about Blank Man? Damon Wayans?
Police investigation of murder.
So this came out in 76. I can watch this week. The Phantom. Yes.
Whatever you did.
Remember there's some promotion thing they had
Yeah, but
with
look, he
McDonald's.
did look badass. Shadow.
Yeah,
Had
Alec
the hat,
Baldwin.
the mask, Baldwin had the fucking dual 1911s.
Maybe this was his what audition to want to be Batman or something. Here.
And when the adventure begins,
So this is
who knows where it will end?
that knife that had its own life.
Yeah.
John Lone, Penelope Ann Miller, and Tim Curry.
Haha, Tim Curry.
What
Yep.
evil lurks
Just a
in
transvestite from Transylvania.
Transsexual.
Transvestite. From transsexual.
I just love that graphic right
dude,
there.
Dude, that is great.
That graphic
I
was
love
sick.
the movie art, dude.
That graphic was. You got to
Yes,
watch The
yes.
Shadow, man.
All right, man. I
You
will.
definitely got to check
I
it
will
out.
for you.
And then So all right, man. That's been it.
All right, we're about to do our rec. Yeah, we did some topics of the week.
We did
I'm
topics?
excited for you to
We did
watch it.
topics.
Let us know what you think. I'm looking at my wife who just sauntered in here with a pug.
My recommendation of the week is gonna be buy some firewood. Buy firewood.
My recommendation is gonna be get yourself a little mini chimenea.
A mini chimenea, which, by the way, you could probably find those at. Sometimes you'd be surprised your local Tom Thumb. That's where I've bought them. They sell them out front around the fall time. You can find them out there.
If you can't find them there, you might find one scrolling on Tubi.
Tubi, you could find a small chimenea manufacturer.
Indeed.
But yeah, there's many ways you can find neat little things. I'm glad you like the chimenea so much.
I mean, yeah, it's still there.
It's there.
To spark her up.
Busy.